Hello, hello. There we go. Great. A very good evening, good morning, good afternoon to you all. Welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. Today, taking the A310 from Mini Simulations for another flight. I couldn't resist. And we're going to take it in this beautiful, beautiful classic Cyprus Airways livery for a flight from Thessaloniki in Greece down to Larnaca in Cyprus. This is a real route that Cyprus Airways flies currently. I assume they flew it back in these days, but I'm not entirely sure. This is quite a large aircraft for this route, but it's totally capable of it. And Cyprus Airways did have this aircraft, so I couldn't resist this livery. I actually had my very first model aeroplane I had, one of the in-flight models you used to get. You still get them now, but not quite as often. And it was one of these. So I had this. It's my earliest toy aeroplane, I would class it as, because it's the one I was allowed to actually keep a hold of. Every time I went on holiday, I had this model with me, this Cyprus Airways A310. So when I saw the INI manager had this included, I could not resist. So I found the excuse to fly it as soon as I could. Good thank you for the follow to Kilo Cio. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well. So I hope you're going to enjoy the flight with us today. Welcome to you all. Thanks for joining us. Lauren V, thanks for moderating over on Twitch. Lauren V says, oh no, we're triple streaming. V1 and Flight Data Sim are all going. Okay, well, apologies for that. Yeah, it's as you know, I assume we're all working these days, so it's probably just a piece of bad luck that we're all free the same evening to stream, but there we go. Very good. Lush says hi, hello to you, thanks for joining us. Apparently the Discord notification didn't come through properly. Okay, interesting, but thanks for joining us today. Checkpoint as well, good to see you. And Ed Haslam over on YouTube, thanks for coming along. Smooth Flag as well, great to see you. I hope you're doing very well. Andrew, we're going from Thessaloniki. Rakon, hello, thank you for joining us. Good to see you again, Rakon. It's been a little while, I think. Stumcode, good to have you here as well. I'm doing very well. I hope the same for you. Alex, Andy H132, thanks for coming and moderating over on YouTube. Dave, Noah, Sven, great to see you all here. I'm looking forward to this one. It's an aircraft we need to spend a little bit more time with. It's just something that we have not had much time with yet, considering the complexity of it. And there's a lot of fun to be had with it. So we'll see if we can do something different with it today. Once again, my chat, frustratingly, is coming through in delayed sort of bursts, so I can only apologise for that if I miss your message or I answer quite late. Mike Baker, evening to you. Having real problems with the approach phase in the A310. Whenever I hit final approach, it should target green dot, but won't. Continuously stalls. Interesting. We'll try it out today. I've been struggling to get my head around that one as well. We did have one of the developers in here last time, or someone who worked for INI Simulations, and they were explaining it, but still... I still struggle a little bit with that one. Gabriel, hope you're doing well. Dave, Lucas says, I love this livery. The late 90s, early 2000s, when I was a kid, my family and I always went to Cyprus on holidays and flew with Cyprus Airways in that livery. There you go. That's exactly what happened to me as well. I remember this livery very, very well. It's sort of one of those things that's burned into my eyes because it was just so fascinating going on an airplane when I was that small. And I remember seeing that tail lit up as it sort of whizzed past the windows in the terminal, just seeing that lit up, and it was an amazing thing. Smooth the flying is to my auto. Sorry, apologies. Gabriel, good to see you as well. If I didn't say so, Nick, hello to you, and Remco De Bruin. I hope you're doing very well. Good. Ed says, which I was flying down that way today. It's cold, dark, and wet and miserable here. Yes, Ed, I believe you're in the UK, it's a pretty cold. It's turned to winter finally. We had a lot of fairly nice weather in the UK, or fairly mild, but it's slightly reassuring to see it turn into the usual November weather recently. So there we go. Right. Let's just take a quick spin around this livery. INI Simulations have, I've got to say, provided some of the nicest liveries included in an aircraft, especially a freeware aircraft. But we know it's not really. Well, it is freeware, but it's something a bit special to have all these features included, especially just sort of at such a quick time frame. But there we go. So it's absolutely gorgeous livery. They've done really nice work with the detailing. Around it with the grime. This would be from the way the jet bridge or the stairs connected on the bottom. That's very common. The old IATA logo, I like that. There's a Cyprus map. That is the island of Cyprus, for those of you who don't know it. Paddy, good to see you. I hope you're doing very well, Paddy. Great to have you here. Paddy's done some many amazing liveries for us. So I mustn't compliment this one too much if Paddy's in the room. It's no, this is a really nice one for them to have included, and not one. I think I've seen this available for the Airbus, but I have not used it for the newer Airbuses. John Fezzer, I hope you're doing very, very well. Good to see you. Elisa's Maggie, great to have you here as well. Great to see you all here. Brian says, boarded the 787-10 in Chicago, had to deplane so they can remove all the power and then reboot the aircraft. First time for everything. Yes, that does occasionally happen. If it's at night, you sort of can't have passengers sitting on board a depowered airplane. Not very safe, but there we go. Right. Lucas says, super nostalgic. Yeah, same for me. Good. So, as we look around, what else have we got? A310. I really like it when airlines include the name of the airplane on the side. I think it's important. I think it's it's a big part of flying is the airplane. So why not name it? Why not let everyone know what they're sitting in before they go up into the sky? And I think it adds a bit more fun to not fun maybe, but just reminds people it's an airplane and not just flying. It is this is a machine that had to be designed very carefully to do this. I love all the streaks. This will be, I think I've talked about this before, this will be old Greece around sort of slats and tracks, little connectors and so on and bearings that will all be greased, and then that will run back and get dirty and grimy. That's why it's particularly pronounced on the flaps, which they've done a nice job with. And as we move to the tail, I'm going to get this right now. So this is the great logo. I really like it. I especially like having you don't see this very often, but the imprinted sort of tail on the tail. I like that. I think it works well. I think Alitalia had a similar style for a while, but I need to now tell you, because it's very important that you know this. I need to tell you exactly what that picture is of, because we mustn't get confused with another livery that has a very, not similar, but a logo of that style. Right, this is... No, that's not the one. That's the wrong Wikipedia article. I used to do a lot more Wikipedia facts on the channel. I must get back to it. It's very important. Where is it? Where is it? I had it here. Right, okay. This is a Cypriot mouflon. It's a wild sheep native to Cyprus. There you go. Also the Caspian region from eastern Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Iran. It's thought to be the ancestor of all modern domestic sheep breeds. So there you go. So it is a version of a sheep, a stylized version of a sheep that was originally BEA. Funnily enough, the British airline had originally heavy interest in Cyprus Airways. It was originally a subsidiary of that a long time ago. This version of Cyprus Airways ceased operations, sadly. It did go out of business, and then it has returned recently with the new Cyprus Airways, who bought the rights to the name Cyprus Airways, who actually have a really, really lovely, and I think, have we flown it on the channel? An olive livery. Which I really like with an olive branch on it. Very nice livery indeed. But this one has a place in my heart. Also a classic 90s sort of bright block coloured livery. Really nice. It's, yeah, very smart. Right, okay, enough talking. Let's put it here. Oh, by the way, I did actually get some scenery downloaded. So we have a Thessaloniki airport. The default one in Microsoft Flight Simulator is appalling. It really is nothing like Thessaloniki, which has grown into quite a large sort of touristy style airport, quite common of some of these Greek areas. Oh look, there's even people in the tower. Look at this. This is freeware on flightsim.to, of course. I'm doing very well. I'm so sorry again, I won't be able to get your name right, but hello to you. I'm very well, thank you very much. Patrick as well, good to see you. And Rakon says, life sometimes gets in the way. Good to see you broadcasting. Thank you very much, Rakon. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it has been it's busy. Even though we're getting into winter, it has of course become a busy time, which is great news. Pilot Richard says, you should see the new Cyprus Airways livery. They don't have the whole green anymore. Ah, that's a shame. They changed it already. I liked the all green olive sort of livery. Very good. Oh, but Pilot likes the new one even more. Okay, well, we'll have to give it a look. Yeah. Lauren B says Greek airport's atrocious by default, and yeah, that's pretty much what we've seen so far. Firewall has super chatted £10. Thanks so much, Firewall. That's very, very kind of you. Firewall says, hey, was watching ATC recording where A320 lost heading capability. ATC guided them to land using no gyro vectors. Can you explain? Also, are there procedures for lost airspeed or altitude? Okay, that's a big question, Firewall. But first of all, thank you so much for your £10 super chat. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the channel, and thanks for coming along to the video. Let's see. I'm going to have to do a brief summary because we're not quite underway yet, and I'll get in trouble if we go for 45 minutes, which I could do on that topic. So A320 losing heading capability. Yeah, sure. Anything's possible if you lost magnetic. You have a backup compass on the flight deck of all these aircraft, so I'm surprised to hear they lost all heading capability. But I'm not entirely sure, unless this was somewhere very north where magnetic headings weren't useful for them or something like this. So I'm not entirely sure of the context of that one. So I can only apologise for that. But sure, if air traffic can guide them, then they were probably using heading, some sort of heading or the standby compass. Now, you can actually fly without that. You can do time turns, that would still use the standby compass, but that will help you, because when you're turning with a standby magnetic compass, it sort of goes all over the place. So you have to time your turns a little bit. So you can also do that. It's very rare for an Airbus to get degraded to that state. Very, very rare indeed. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure if I fully understand that one. So apologies for that. But thank you for your very kind super chat, Firewall. Are there procedures for lost instruments, airspeed, or altitude? Absolutely. We can fly without airspeeds, and we can fly maybe not without an altimeter entirely. We would need some reference, but we have a lot of ways to reference that. You've got lots of different sources. It's very, very, very rare for the altimeters to become blocked, and I'll show you why. However, it has caused accidents when they are. The altimeters are done with these static ports here, so they're on the side. They actually look very similar to this on the 320. So these are on the side of the aircraft. The airflow's over them. They're unlikely to be blocked unless they're specifically were covered up in maintenance or something like that. They're also checked before every flight, of course. So losing those is very rare, and even if you do, then we now have GPS altitude, of course, as a backup. But still, there's a lot of ways. Also, the aircraft can sense the altitude in the cabin and so on. So, there's a few ways to get around it, but it's not something that happens with any reasonable amount of occurrence. Pitos do get blocked. They can get blocked because not only can you leave pitot covers on, but they'll get blocked by incoming bugs and things like that get hidden in there, even if you can't see them. They could freeze up, get covered in ice, things like that. Whereas, of course, the altimeter ports can't get covered in ice on the side because the air brushes over them in a different direction, but these get hit head on. So ice can build up on the front of these, and that has caused many incidents over the years, and it's a very, very important part of flying. So we have procedures for dealing with a total loss of airspeed, and we can actually land. You can fly and approach in the A320 down the ILS with total loss of instruments. Maybe I should do a video on that. That's a big topic. It's something pilots are. I would say unreliable airspeed is one of those top topics that makes pilots shudder before they go into a sim session, because it's a big one. It gets very time consuming, but it's doable, and you can fly the aircraft all the way down to the runway and land it without any idea of your actual airspeed, because of course we've got other things, angle of attack, power settings that we can use instead, and people have done it in real life. It is a thing that has happened. So thank you very much for your donations, Pavel, and I hope that answers that. Right. Pilot Richard says, I got a job as a first officer on the new Cyprus Airways, but lost it due to COVID. Now I work in another Cypriot airline too. So, well, sad to hear that, Pilot, but I'm glad you got another job. So thank you for coming along. Smooth Flying says the new Cyprus Airways livery has the Mouflon on again. Very good. So they've changed away from the olive branch. Interesting. I didn't know they changed it so recently. It shows how out of touch I am. I'm always just about behind. Right, let's jump into the flight deck because I need to get this airplane powered up. We are cold and dark. So we're going to do it using, once again, Danair Virtual and Mateo's very excellent procedures. If you join Danair Virtual, you'll be able to get access to them. And they are absolutely brilliant. Firewall says, air traffic was telling them when to finish turns. No heading mentioned. It was in New York. Okay, yeah, when to finish turns. So time turns, effectively. If you can do rate one turn. Again, quite a big topic. No gyro vector. It's just the controller using their radar and telling the aircraft turn left, right, and then stop turn. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one before. I'm surprised an Airbus managed to reach that stage, but I suppose, of course, anything is possible. Right. Lazaro says, LGTS is my hometown. The airport is not like this now. MXI design, although payware is like the real airport. Very good, very good. Ice-T says, have you watched Mental Pilot's video? If so, what's your opinion on the 1500-hour rule thing? Right, I need to get the airplane powered up. These are good questions. Ask me again in the cruise, because I could talk all day about some of these. This is where I need a podcast, I think. That's still on my list. It crosses my mind a lot. Right, ignition, we need it off. That's up here, off. Wipers need to be off. They are off. It's a lovely day here, so we definitely don't want to run those by accident. Throttles, check. Idle, they are at idle. That's concerning. I think my pad controls are set up correctly for the 310, but they're not moving. Anyway, throttles are at idle. Reverse levers are stowed. Fuel HP valves down here are off. Landing gear lever is down. Rear over TPP panels we would check. Batteries now. We need to check that the batteries are off. We would check the voltage up here, which we can do like this. Yes, good, good. All the voltages are good. So we're going to put the batteries to auto. There we go. Let me know how the audio is. Ravi says, I still say your podcast should be called Not for Real World Use. I did have an idea for a name. Not for Real World Use I like. I had another idea for a name for the podcast if I ever managed to get to it, which was Children of the Magenta. But I thought that worked nicely with our colour scheme. But pretty abstract. I don't know how many people know what I'm referring to with that. So I don't know. But yeah, Ice-T, ask that question again later on, and I'll answer it. if I remember. Get Captain Chris on the... Oh, I don't know who Captain Chris is. But yeah, there's so many things to talk about on there. Right, batteries, anyway, are on. This is the problem. I just talk all day. AC emergency inverter light would be on. This is all extra checks that we do not have to do on the 320 now, which is great. We do our APU fire protection. I'm not going to bore you with the fire protection tests. Electrical power, we can now turn on the external power. It's funny enough, that is the same order you do it in the 320. You put the batteries on and then the external power. I don't entirely know why, but I suppose it's to check that the batteries can supply the aircraft properly first try. Make sure it works. Thanks, OC. Right, let's get the APU up and running. So we're going to make sure we can see the screen. So down here, and then we're going to put the master switch on. Low pressure fuel. I'm going to put the APU screen on because, there we go, it's because it's stuck on the DC one. And then I'm going to press start. Wait for that flap to open at the back. External power we can get rid of once that's done. Right. Next step. Let's get all the lighting set up. FCU lit. Oh. Can you hear everything okay? Hopefully. Everything on. There we go. Great. Oh dear. Apologies, yeah. My chat, this is frustrating. The second time in a row now, my chat's not working quite like it should do. Right, let's have a look. So, would pitot heat melt the bugs? No, sadly not. Pitot heat isn't good enough to get rid of blockages out of the pitos. And it might melt the covers, but yeah, even if it does, they might get stuck in there, I'm sure, as they're probably made of plastic. Terrain on the HD nav display, you can just press the terrain button here, and it'll bring it up once it's aligned. Sven says, nice title for podcast. Which title, Sven? Which one did you like? Sven says, everyone who watched those unusual attitude recovery videos from AA should know the reference. Yeah, anyone from American Airlines will know them, or anyone who's seen it on YouTube. Yeah, I like it because I personally think that video is often misreferenced by... This has changed. Has this changed? Anyway. Anyway, the big topic, but I'll talk about the Children of the Magenta thing as well as the 1500-hour thing later. You can probably... I imagine regular viewers know my thoughts on those things already, but there we go. Right. So, cockpit lights is required. Electrical power is on. Probe window heat, check off. So probe window heat's over here. In the Airbus, we leave it on auto in the 320, but in this one now, we do actually have to leave it off for now, like the 7.3. Annunciator light, we would do a test, and we're not going to bore you with that. I don't want to do too many tests. APU bleed, we can turn on. All the way over here. On. Pack valves 1 and 2, check on. Pack valve 1, pack valve 2, on. And compartment temperature sensors, auto as required. They are all in auto. Parking brake is on. Accumulator brake pressure is good. And then we've got the chocks check in place. Brake anti-skid should be in, norm and on. And then we could do a test of the alternate braking system, but I'm not going to do that. You basically put this down a stage, and then you can actually check, release the parking brake, hold it on the chocks, and then check that the valves do and don't move, and the yellow accumulator and so on all works. Now we're going to top that up. I'm going to press the parking brake accumulator. And it drives it up. Very good, very good, very good. Mike Bakey likes not for real world use. There you go. Blaine says they weren't kidding when they said study level. I'm a poor lowly console player, and this is Xbox's first study level plane. Man, they have everything active in the 310. Yeah, everything works. You know, just like that, little hydraulic and backup hydraulic systems working. It's very, very good. Speed brake handle, check in, retract and disarm. Slats flap handles at 0, and we should see 0 slats, 0 flaps over here. It was really interesting that this finally explains the F and S speeds on the Airbus 320, because I never saw the reason for why does it have an S speed and not an F speed, but there we go. It's because back then it was just slats, and they were listed as such. Let's put the IRSs into nav now. Nav. Okay. Good. FM CDU init page we can initialize, so it says align IRS. We've got a good database, and now we would initialize it. What I'm going to do is put in where I am, LGTS and where I'm going, LCLK. And I managed to mess that up. Nope. What am I doing wrong there then? To be solved temporarily. Are the knobs that loud in real life, system code? Some of them will be. Yeah, some of them are pretty bad. I don't know about the A310. I can't imagine a dial on the light dimmers would be that loud, but maybe. I'm sure they've got a reason to do this. But others would be. Yeah. It's surprising what some are like. When you run the FCU knobs in the 320, they make you can hear them. Yeah, definitely. Oh, depending on the aircraft. Right. Where was I? So IRS, we can't align because I'm going to have to sort that out in a second. Cabin signs, seatbelts. Actually, they'll be off for now, but no smoking to auto. Hydraulic power. Well, they're all in the green up there, and I will just check the hydraulic ECAM. There it is. Good. Flight control. Flight recorder. We can put the ground control on. External lights. Let's have the nav logo lights. Strobes to auto. Everything else can be off. We can put the pitch trim up. I think that's going to turn off because it's not. That's because the IRS isn't aligned, and until it is, that won't turn on, and we won't get little displays up here. Right, now let's work out what's going on with the CDU. Very strange. They are satisfying sounds indeed. Let me think, what can we do here? If we go menu, swap to the second database. See if I can wake it up. Have I got the right airport? LGTS? I think that's right. Let me just check my codes. Exclamation mark route into the chat if you'd like to see the route. LGTS to LCLK. How strange. First time I've seen this. And strangely, I can't get the iPad to turn on either. This has changed, hasn't it? Didn't know like this before. Oh, there it is. So that's working. Just got to turn the brightness up. So, let me think. Any bright ideas in chat? Exclamation mark routes. No, we'll get you the route. Maybe waiting for Iris to align. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't do though. I should be able to tell it whilst it's aligning. We can try sim brief, but I've never got this to work. No. Matt says they modeled the fuzzy font on the CRT screen so well. Yes, they did. It looks absolutely great. It does seem bugged. Okay. Let's try. Oh no. That didn't work either. All of this worked when I made the last video 10 days ago. What's happened? Right, well, panel states aren't working. We don't need them. Off. 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 Alex says I have the same bug. Okay. This might be a sim restart. Let's see the APU page. I'm hoping it's only available right now. So batteries are off, external power is off, and the APU is off. It's, yeah, there you go. It's just cooling itself down. Okay, let's give it a second then. Yeah, power down, back on. That's going to be the first attempt. Give it a minute like this. I wonder if I can do this. No, that's not working at all. I'm suspicious that without if the panel state's not working, it might mean that something isn't working in the sim. Right. So, it's funny, someone mentioned in chat that they were just taking off a 787 for a power on and off. And we're going to do the same thing. Nah, it's not going to do it. No way that would work. All right then. Stand by. We'll be back in. Well, it could be. This is an official livery indeed. Could be 10 minutes. But I'm going to leave the stream running and I'm going to put a timer up. No, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Oh. Probably restart the sim sort of thing, isn't it? Okay, stand by. Hello. Right, hopefully you can hear me and we're still running on stream. I don't normally have my voice on this screen, but there we go. I'm just going to reload the sim. Apologies for this. It's a bit frustrating, but these things do happen, and it does happen with the real airplane. Sometimes you think everything's going well. Just one little thing pops up, and then it's the the end of your day, and you have to sort of faff around for a few hours, but there we go. Right, so Danny says VFR and fly by hand it is. Yeah, we could do. It wouldn't be too hard to get there on a nice day, but we could definitely find our way there visually. Berman says, I've never had an issue with SimBrief import. Can't understand why you have. No, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong with that either. I really don't know why it won't import the flight plan. Alan says, what does ISDU stand for? It's an A310 checklist. I do not know. I've had that question myself as well. I do apologise. Are you on the beta update that just came out this morning? No, I'm not, Crystal the Winged Wolf. No, I don't believe I'm on the original main release, as it were. Yeah, it's strange. These things do happen, though. We'll get there. We'll get there. We've not let this beat us before. Half an hour into the video, into the stream, so let me think. I mean, it's not a long flight. Once we get going, flight time of 1 hour. Oh, well, it's quite a long flight. 1 hour 44. So I might try. We might do a little bit of a quick power up here. I think that's what we'll do. We'll just get it powered up quickly, get the route in, and get going. No, I won't do the beta now, indeed, Lauren. Yeah, there we go. Thanks for that. Yeah, so apparently it needs a restart. We won't do that. Stomco says, while we wait, can you explain what is APU bleed and why we need it? So, bleed, if you hear bleed, it's referring to taking air from the engines or the APU. So the engines and the APU are all jet engines. And jet engines work by squeezing air, really compress it, and then they go through a combustion chamber. So you squeeze the air, and then it gets lit on fire, so fuel is sprayed into it and it's ignited, so the oxygen and everything in there all ignites. That increases the pressure rapidly and the temperature, and it blasts out the back of the engine. But what you don't realize is before the air gets to the bit where it's set on fire, it actually is compressed, and you compress the gas, it gets really hot, and it goes obviously under high pressure. So that air, before it's ignited, is then tapped off. We can tap off a bit of that pressurized air and pump it into the cabin, and that's how we pressurize the cabin. So it's high pressure air that's very hot, and we can use it for a number of things. So it's cooled down and then used to provide air in the cabin and pressurize it. And it's also used to start the engine. So the APU is just a little jet engine. That air is compressed, squeezed together, and then tapped off some of it and fed into the cabin for ventilation on the ground. And then it can also be fed into the engines to spin them around to get them started. Because to start a jet engine, you can't just chuck in fuel and hope it starts. It needs to actually be turned over, just like a starter motor in a car. You have to actually get it moving with another external means. So that's what APU bleed is. So we turn it on to be able to start the jet engines and also to provide ventilation on the ground. The Airbus will automatically filter the air where it needs to be. So if you're going to start the engines, it automatically takes the air from the pressurization system and puts it towards the engines as you need it. It's very clever. Larnaca says, you're flying into my home airport. Excellent. Thanks very much for joining us. I will be on VATSIM. Wicked cookie. I will indeed. Right. We're on the selection screen. It's all happening. Don't panic. Nobody panic. And nobody look out of the windows. Right. Let's go to... Thessaloniki. Can't remember which stand I was on. I hope no one's on this one. You're very welcome, Stormcode. Sean says, so why can't we go straight from engines to ground power? You can indeed. If you're parking and you have no APU, you could do that. But that means someone will have to plug in the ground power whilst the engines are running, which is not ideal. We don't like doing that. One of the, people getting injured in it with airplanes is nearly always on the ground is the reality. Like everyone's, people are more likely to be nervous of flying, but there's plenty of risks standing around an airplane. Right, here we go. Back to it. So let's get our, in fact, before we do the charts, let's see if this works. So, time of day. Thank you. Right, we've done our voltage check. Batteries on. Stellar power on. Database. Init. LGTS. There we go. Excellent news. Right, so we quickly on the overhead panel will have put these to nav. We will have that there. We will have an APU, please. Master switch on. Low pressure out. Start. We have the strobe lights to auto. Nav lights on system 1. Yaw damper on. ATS on. Pitch trim will only work when it's aligned, so that's going to work. Later, we'll have the auto no smoking signs. Waiting for the APU bleed on that. We've got the brakes on. Speed brake levers, tractors armed. Good, good, good. Right, so the throttles weren't moving earlier. Interesting. I wonder what's going on there. And these... Oh, no. Looks suspiciously like they're on. There we go. That's better. I wonder if that was the issue. Did I look at these and they were in the on position? I wonder. It's a better design on the 320, I think. More obvious whether they're forwards or backwards. But there we go. Cold and Duck speedrun. Yes, it is. I have been thinking of doing a YouTube short. I don't know if I want to or not yet, but a YouTube short where I show some quick startups for people who just want to get the airplane started, which is sort of the opposite of what I do on this channel where I talk for now 35 minutes. Right, let's not do that. Let's not fiddle with any of that, in fact. Master caution, APU fuel low pressure. Yet we know why. That's going to sort itself out as it starts up. Right, do that in an under 60-second YouTube short, but I don't know if anyone's interested in that. Just going to be for amusement. Thomas, hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Flying Scotsman says, would you shut down the right engine if you were going straight to ground power so it's a bit safer to get the ground power on? Depends. It just depends. So often we taxi around on single engine these days, so you could probably find yourself arriving on single engine anyway. It's very uncomfortable. Yeah, it's much better to have the APU and do everything in that order. Right. Good. So there's the route, and let's open up the chart. I had that open earlier. The one time I actually had the charts all pinned and ready to go. I say all of them. I did have them. There we go. Okay. Right, that's the airport chart. So we're parked up here. Right, let's join VATSIM. We are going to be CYP 319 in an A310. I have not tried the reverse axes either, actually. your fuel levers were in the opposition first time. Thank you very much, Flying Scotsman. Thank you. That's reassuring. There are some time shorts were very good for the algorithm. Not sure if that's still the case. Oh, thanks, Chickpoint. Okay, fair enough. It'll probably take me just as long to make a short video as it would a normal one for me. But there we go. Right, so a quick look outside. I can hear somebody else. Nice control droop. Sounds like someone's taking off. We're missing it. Because I just... I slow down the rotation speed to get nicer videos. Oh, there's a Turkish next door. Oh, there's not anymore. Well, just us for now. But that's no problem. Beautiful. Absolutely. I could look at this airplane all day. Definitely one of my favourite liveries on it. I think it accentuates, makes it look a bit longer than it actually is. Good. I'm going to get rid of the galley shed. I'm going to turn on the APU bleeds, ventilation for the cabin. We can't do that yet. We can't do the heating yet, but we can turn on the fuel pumps. Good. Landing gears down locked. IRS is all aligning. As we move over, we've got the anti-skid norm. TMS is not yet working, but that's fine. Good, 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 good. Okay, let's get this loaded up. So LGTS, LCLK. And there is an ATIS here, so there is a controller here. Excellent news, excellent news. So apparently the ISDU inertial sensor display unit is connected to all three inertial reference units. The ISDU provides an alternate means of displaying the IRS main nav data or entering piston position. So an ISDU is, quite simply, it's that IRS display unit. That makes sense. ISDU. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you very much. Excellent knowledge. Thank you. Sean Delaney says, when I switch from this plane to A320, I find it really, really impressive what they've done to their systems in a short amount of time. Indeed, the development from this to the 320, it just shows a massive level of refinement and self-reflection, I think. But that's perhaps being very Airbusy. Indeed, very, very Airbusy. Right, anyway, focus, focus, focus. So, our alternate today is in Turkey, actually, LTAI, which I don't think is likely. You'd probably go to Pathos or another airfield in Cyprus. Would be the CYP319, which goes in there. We're going to cruise at Mach 80 at 370. Minus 6 cruise wind, average wind component. Sorry, average wind is 23531. There have been some shocking winds over Europe recently. My goodness, 140 knot jet streams, which you don't see very often. There we go. Right, so that's init A. So data, init A, flight plan. Sid, let's just grab the ATIS, see which way we're supposed to depart. Thessaloniki, they're running on information. Bravo. ILS Zulu for runway 10, takeoff on runway 16. Finish level 75. Got 090 at 05, QNH1, 004, and can't see the temperature there, but that's no problem. I'm sure I'm just misreading it. There we go, right. Good. Apologies to the chat, I'm sure I'm missing lots of things. The high winds are just caused by jet streams. Anyway, we are taking off from runway 16. Yeah, if I knew what caused jet streams, I'd be a meteorologist, I suppose. I just don't know. It's a good question. There's lots and lots we don't know as pilots. We just get given a certain level of understanding. So we're taking off southerly 16, and they are landing on 10, so that way. So we're going to use the shorter runway, interestingly. So let's see if we fit. SIDS from runway 16. We're supposed to go out via Tango Sierra Lima, which is not an option from that runway. But we can just do that straight to the TSL. TSL 3 Bravo goes to 10 miles, then back to the VOR, so sort of so you can climb up and then keep going. Let's see if that's the route we actually want to fly. TSL Lima 617. Yeah, we do. We need to end back up at the TSL. So there's just no realistic climb rate. So we'll do TSL 3 Bravo, give us a nice view on the way out, and insert. And then from TSL, is that a hold? Oh, we'll find out. From the TSL, we're going to take Lima 617. We're going to leave that at Agisa. Oh, it's only doing one at a time. I thought it was doing whole pages. It does on the 320. There we go. Leave it at the Greece. Then we'll take Upper Lima 617. I'm going to leave that at Kia. Goods. And from Kia, we'll take Upper Lima 995. And we'll leave that at Rhodos. So we're going down via Rhodes, by the way. Athens and Rhodes. Kia is at Athens and then Rhodos. There we go. And from Rhodos, Upper Mike 601. Aveno. Come on. Aveno. This is a long old route. I can't believe it's so long for a 1 hour 45 flight. Aveno Mike 601. Oh, this is only one to Bonnet. Then that's the start of our arrival into Larnaca. Right, enough of that. Good, so that's the flight plan. Diff secondary, I'll just copy in the active. Init B time. Well, there's no init B on this airplane. Yes, there is. There we go. Init B is sort of hidden. Good. So now let's load up what we need in terms of fuel and payload. So I had a planned 0 fuel weight of. Let me just check everything's working okay. A310 was quite a leap forward from projects. Indeed it was, Gabriel. Yeah, indeed it was. Thanks for joining us today. Brian says, what's the plan for 70k? I don't know yet. I have been debating that one. Got quite a lot of options these days. Quite a lot. Let's go to our payload. And I had a planned weight of 0 fuel weight of 108 tons. Quite heavy. There we go. And the fuel, planned fuel, with that crazy alternate, which is a ridiculous amount of fuel, 3.7 tons. So we don't need any more. We'll go for 7.8 tons of fuel. Really? That seems incredibly low. But it's a long range aeroplane. Let me just check I'm reading that right. No, I'm not reading that right. That's utter nonsense. That's trip and taxi at 7.8. We need 14.3. Yes, there we go. That sounds more like it. Still very low, but for what we could take. 14.3 is our block fuel. That includes taxi fuel of 400 kilos. Okay, good. Right. There we go. So let's apply that, please. Move the CG forward. CG 23.6. So 23.6. Now this live updates in the simulations, but of course it wouldn't in real life. So max flight level 372. That's fine. Well, might cruise a bit lower. You put in the planned cruise, but you might sometimes it's not uncommon to have to go a bit lower than that. Right. We need to align the IRS. There. GPS primary, and now we get our screens as we want them. Our little map as well. And then we go to takeoff and approach. Let's load up the performance. Thank you for the subscriptions and follows. Do appreciate it. Right. Not there. There. Good. So now someone showed me this. If you press the M, it knows the takeoff run. So 2425. Now, of course, being pilots, we're going to check that. We don't trust anybody. GYMMC has super chatted 8.99. Thanks so much. Learned a lot from you. Thank you. Thank you, GYMMC. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the very kind donation. And I'm glad to hear the channel's helping you, even if this might not be our most slick video ever. But there we go. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So takeoff run available from runway 16. It says 2424 meters. So we got 2425. So that looks pretty reasonable. So yeah, it does seem to be correct. Dry runway QDM. Let's press the little button, see if that works. 166. There we go. Wind we said is 0905. And we could be a bit performance limited here. Outside air temperature, I don't know. So I'm going to go with the aeroplane's outside air temperature, 14 degrees. Relatively pleasant day here in Larnaca. QNH of 1004. enter. And if I press the weight, does it work? No, it doesn't know the weight. Thank you, Young, for the follow. And thank you again, GYMCC, for the very kind super chat. Really appreciate it. To get the weight, we go back to it. Actually, it's up here, isn't it? Gross weight 122 tons, significantly more than a 321 even is going to get to. Flaps 15 and 0 if we can. No, I can't believe that. Let's do 15, 15. Anti-ice off. Packs on. Enter. Calculate. Flex 59, 35, 36, 41. Right. Let's set that up. So we're going to have the takeoff approach page. We can have a V1 of 135, 136, 141. No, it doesn't go there, does it? It goes here. Right. Now they're all aligned. We can put the pitch trim on and put in 141 in here. Great. Now this computer comes to life as well. We can put a flex takeoff of 59 degrees. So pretty high flex. Some things we discovered is that not only you don't have to use the auto thrust. Even if you set this up, it moves the limiting markers on here, and then you can just shove the thrust levers forward without auto thrust, and it will still limit it. Very clever. Very cool. Right. Two whites to red says jet streams caused by difference in air column height. Tropper pause due to temp etc. that diverted due to Coriolis, kind of like one big water slide. Wow, there you go. That's very good. Yeah, did not know that. Right. Rakon says, what a scenic route. If you plan your flight a little bit lower, we could do touching on Athens. Indeed, yeah, indeed. Good. Okay, so we're all pretty much there. So that's performance done. Let's bring up. Done that. We've got the fuel on board. We got our. I wanted 15 tons ish. Total fuel 14.3. Yeah, that's right. So seatbelts can go on. APU is on. The APU gen is on. So let's get rid of the external power. I think we're in a good place then. Time to run the checklist. So 4-star cockpit prep is completed. Signs are on and auto. Fuel is 14.3. Navigation checked, set. Landing elevation. We'll set it on the way. It's basically sea level. Altimeters. Good one. Yeah, it does not seem to auto set. So, well, that can't be right. What's going on with the ATIS? It says 1004. Let's see what's going on here. That's the problem. Classic. Sydney says, always seems to be 59 for flex. Okay. There we go. Right, now let's try and set it. There we go. So the B does work. 1004 is set. Brake anti-skid. Norm. On. Next, let's imagine we're ready to go. So Windows doors closed. Well, let's do a little flow. So beacon comes on now. We're about to go. Thrust lever is definitely idle. Windows doors are all closed. So Windows doors closed. Beacon on. Parking brake is on. Next is the after start checklist. So we're going to go to our... Here it is. Ground stuff. So go to the GPU. Doors are all closed. Prepare for pushback and departure. Let's get the tug here. Right. Before we do that, who am I supposed to talk to? There's an LGTS ATIS, but I can't see any controllers. LGGGG 675. Let's try that. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? 129 675. Not transferring. Don't push back. Don't push back. Stop. Right. There we go.
06.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Cyprus 319. Don't know what stand we're on.
Bye-bye.
Control, Cyprus 319 on the ramp at Thessaloniki. Request push and start for Larnaca, QNH 1004 A310.
Cyprus 319, your first is clear to Larnaca via runway heading, departure runway 10, climb the flight level 80 and squawk 1753.
Thank you, we're cleared via runway heading from runway 10, climb flight level 80, squawk 1753, Cyprus 319.
Cyprus 319, rate back correct, push and start approved, face north, QNH 1004.
Push start approved, facing north, QNH 1004, Cyprus 319. Okay, now, no surprise, that's not what I did my performance based on. He said 10, let me just check. Sorry, can you confirm for Cyprus 319, that's runway 10. Can we request runway 16?
Cyprus 319, A firm, runway 16, maintain round.
Thank you, runway heading, runway 16, Cyprus 319, thank you. There we go, before we get too bogged down in workload, we can just ask. So flight level 80, now new trick that you all taught me, 80 in there, that works. Heading, let's put it up for runway 16 as well, so drag this across. The bank angle limiter is to norm, very important. We don't want that to be limiting us. I'm not going to preset a speed because if I go into here, it sounds like we're going to get runway heading anyway, but the speed goes from 140 to 250 automatically, so I can just do profile climb. We're going to take off and then I'm just going to pull the heading and just get going. We're pushed out approved facing north, so that means the nose is going to go over to our left, so we're going to be, as EasyJet, we're going to be facing that way over there. Good, right, so checks are all complete. Let's go. Just let the tug connect. I saw a bit of discussion there about single pilots. You're not going to see a single pilot airliner, even if it's certified. It's just not anytime soon. I can tell you, A320 NEO. There's the latest generation. It's not even close. When everything's going perfectly, yes, but flying isn't just the day-to-day operation. Just to release the brakes. Start the clock. Run. Away we go. Right, let's start up engine number 2. So I'm going to go to system A. I'm going to check engine has bleed pressure. Let's start engine number 2. Push the start. Open. Pressure going through. N2 increasing. Once it gets to 15%. High pressure valve on. Fuel flow, EGT, starting nicely. So this aircraft was used for some long routes. They flew, I believe Cyprus flew all over Europe, especially London down to Larnaca. That's a good 4 or 5 hours. I do like the scenery, the freeway. So we're going to face that way. And then take off from this runway here. Where is the line? Let's make sure we get the right line. So that red line's the stands, so we need to start turning. And EGT is reducing, engine stabilizing, all very good. Start engine 1. N2 spinning.
Radar contact flight level 3.
Yeah, the idea of a single pilot airplane is nice, but it's 15. Or it's not, I don't think it's that nice, but it's possible. But it's just in terms of redundancy. If you need one pilot, you need two, sort of thing. Is my opinion as things stand today. Let's try and get ourselves over a bit better of a pushback. I'm going to totally block that EasyJet. I don't think there's a way to go forwards.
Surface 554 here, Sina radar contact, continue flying the...
There we go. Generators online. Straight. Stop. Parking brake set. They can disconnect. Good, we are underway. Finally. That only took a full hour. Oh yeah, with DH to -5. A lot of people seem to do that. No, I think this is to do with auto lands, but, or approaches, but there we go. Right, that's all stabilised. Ground cruise disappearing. So we can put the ignition system to off. I'm going to put to continuous relight for takeoff. We can lose the APU bleed. We can lose the APU. We can arm the ground spoilers, set the flaps 2 stages for 15-15. We can set the trim for takeoff. We said... Love those flap sounds. 23.6, 1.6 up. Yeah, very nose heavy today. 1.6 up. We would recenter the rudder trim, which is already centered. Transponder should be on transponder by now. What else do I need to do? Let's think. What we do in the Airbus? We would also check the slides at arms. Initialize Costanex. Oh yes, I didn't do the Costanex. It says let's go a bit faster. Let's just do 90. Good. We would need to see if the doors have armed. I think the white slide, yep, the slide's lit, so that's good. Good, well, let's run the checklist. So, after that checklist, pitch trim is set, rudder trim is 0, spoilers are armed, slats flaps are 15, 15. ECAM status checked, anti-ice not required, hand signal received, after checks complete. Cyprus 319, request taxi.
Cyprus 319, set your scope 1753.
Apologies, 1753, Cyprus 319. Whoops. That's entirely my bad. 1, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. There we go. And we are in transponder. There we go. Good.
Cyprus 319, taxi V Alpha 4 Alpha, holding point runway 16 advisory.
Alpha 4 Alpha holding point 16, Cyprus 319. So we're here, Alpha 4 onto Alpha, full length 16. Shorter taxi. It's all clear. Brakes released. Let's have the turn off lights on. Taxi lights on. Let's go. Pretty heavy today. Really heavy. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. What a treat we get to sort of experience this aircraft in this level of detail. Right, brake check. Pressure staying at 0. Let's run our flight controls. Now, it doesn't seem to do it automatically. So we'll bring up the flight control page, please. We won't go off. This is Alpha 4. So we'll do that once we're out on the main apron. Wish we had that nice... X-Plane has that amazing flyby sort of camera view. I love it for taxiing. Gives you a real sense of the size of these machines. Before we go off the side there. Yeah, much easier in X-Plane when you can put the camera in the right place. Right, flight controls. So we have, looking down on this little screen on the right, full up, full down, neutral, full left, a bit fast that, full right, neutral, and full left rudder, full right rudder. Good stuff. Right, so talking to the brief, we're going to climb straight ahead on runway heading. So in order to do this takeoff, as I said, you can actually, now we've set the flex limit, we can just run the thrust levers fully forward and it will limit itself. But we're not going to do that. We're going to engage the auto thrust by using the ATC button here. Not realistic, just a simism as it were. So bit of forward pressure on the yoke, stabilize the engines at 40%, release the brakes, press that button, auto thrust will then engage. I'm going to arm nav, no, I'm going to arm heading select underneath. I'm going to put it into heading select. Actually, no, I'm not. Let's get rid of nav. We're going to have it in heading for takeoff. Because we're going to go straight ahead. And we're going to arm profile. And that way it will accelerate to the 250 automatically. I'd be curious to see what it does in heading mode. Just in case it doesn't work, I'm going to preset 250 by clicking forwards and putting 250 in here. Otherwise, you end up in the position where if you're not following the profile. I don't know if it would let you do profile. And what we'd end up with is just a very high nose attitude, and we'd have to wind this up to get the nose down. And it's a bit awkward. It works when there's two pilots, perhaps a bit better. And then we'll go into nav later on, and then we can engage in autopilot at some point. Constraints and constraints. Okay, that's that. We got our flaps out. Good. What else would we discuss? I need to put the transponder to TARA. We don't need to do any more with the lights. We're going to have the auto brake to max in case of a rejected takeoff. And I think we're pretty much ready to go. Love flying around Greece. I wish I had wing views though. Sadly we don't. Now it's likely with a short taxi like that on an airplane of this size that you would not be ready to go as you reach the holding point. The cabin crew would probably need a bit of work. So we're going to exploit that. Let's see what we can find. Why are they like that? I don't understand. No, and I can't move it. I can use the head tracking.
Flight level 3804.
Okay, well, some success. We can use the head tracking. Right, I'd say we are ready to go. Oh, no, we're not. We need to check this. Before takeoff checks, flight controls are checked. Briefing confirmed. Slats flaps are 15 and 15. Performance FMAs are checked. We've got 135, 141 vertical speed with P climb. That's going. The VS will change to SRS when we set the takeoff mode. Heading FT1 up to 80 to become a flight level. And we got flex 59 with flex takeoff press. Transponder is TARA, cabin secure, TCAS TARA, packs are normal. Ignition is continuous for takeoff, anti-ice is off. Okay, there we go. Heading is not runway heading. So we're taking off on 16. No, it's not. Thank you very much. Why did that happen? What did I do there? It's because I pressed heading select, isn't it? Great spot. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right.
Expect the RNB runway 15.
This controller's doing a lot of airports. Cyprus 319 ready for departure.
Cyprus 319 at runway 16 clear for takeoff, wind 10036.
Clear takeoff runway 16. Cyprus 319. Brakes released. Let's go. I do need custom cameras. Thanks, Gabriel. Yeah, I need to work out how to do that. I can do it in X-Plane. I've not really had to do it in Microsoft. Microsoft has this. It's the most useful thing, and not all developers seem to use it. But showcase fixed cameras, because then I can just press the toggle drone button and it will hop me between them, and it really helps for streaming. But then they're not focused on streamers, of course. Love the height of these side windows. That's really great. Right, what you would get the other pilot to do, instead of talking about cameras, is they would put all these lights on. So we're clear for takeoff. Just check that's not an airplane, that is just beacon lights. Okay. So it's quite a... we'll see how this goes. We've got quite a bit of flap out, so I'm hoping the power setting will be enough. But yeah, let's go. So, half side stick, or yoke as it were. Stabilize engines to 40%. Let's go to Larnaca. Be there before 8 o'clock UK, I promise. Engine stable. Remind me to tell you little anecdotes about stabilizing the engines, please, once we're underway. Press that. There we go. Thrusts. Brakes released. SRS. Heading. Aha! Master warning. Propete off. Now you would actually reject the takeoff. Very good monitoring by the Airbus that it has that. Impressed. Remind me another anecdote about that, please. Right, off we go. You would simply just retard the thrust levers and then sort that out. Neutral. That's because we didn't do the takeoff config test. There you go. Very good, it includes that. V1. rotates. Releasing the rudder. Positive climb. Gear up. Yeah, use most of the runway, no doubts. Carrying on in heading.
Hello, Ryanair 247 Charlie, climbing up to flight level 190.
That SRS is a bit overly sensitive, so I'm not going to come all the way back to that.
Keep climbing to flight level 190 and expect
Something wrong with that V2. I'd say V2 should be about 155, not whatever it's aiming for there. So we're going to overrule that slightly. Right, so there we go. It's gone into auto. It's aiming for 250 knots now. We can let it accelerate. We're above the F, but again, I'm not buying that. I don't think we are above the F. AP1. Yeah, V2 of 141. Well, that clearly... That's no good at all. So, what happened with our performance? Something happened with our performance there. V2 141. Yeah, with 122 tons. I don't know. Very strange. Not right. Definitely not right. Anyway, accelerating now to 250. I'd say we're at a safe speed to go from 2 to 1. Climbing up to flight level 80, so we can set standards. We got command 1, heading, profile thrust, profile climb. So the profile did work. That's good.
Stand 8. Information Charlie, QNH 1004, type A319, request clearance to Larnaca.
I'm not going to trust that S either.
Departure only 10, line flight level 80, scope 1755.
Gear is up, so now we can put it to off.
Easy 31 Tango Charlie, could you say again?
Flaps to 0. There's our green dot. Well, that's not going to be a green dot though.
31 Tango Charlie, you're cleared to Larnaca.
So the plane knows it's 121 tons. No, that should be a green dot because that's the airplane calculated.
Scope 1755.
We shall see. We shall see. We'll put the continuous relight off. We'll disarm the ground spoilers.
31 Tango Charlie is cleared to Larnaca, runway heading from runway 10.
That was our original SID.
5, easy 31 Tango Charlie.
Okay, no, that's a reasonable green dot. So yeah, the airplane's right there. Okay, so thanks for the follow.
Radar contact, climb the flight level 370.
Climb up with 370, Cyprus 319. 370 on the heading still. We're in climb thrust limited mode, so that's good. 37. Now on the progress page, maximum 373. Ooh, we shall see. We shall see. On a 320, I might be a little bit cautious of doing that unless it was very smooth, but we shall see how the 310 handles it.
Could you tell me the direct...
Right, checklists. What else can we do? Get rid of the nose gear lights. So, off. We'll leave those out. There we go, that can go off. Right, also climb checks, stats flaps are retracted, landing gear up, neutral, packs are on, altimeters are on standards. Next is going to be the approach checklists. Gear is off. Gabriel still hasn't got sim update 11. Oh, you should. It's very good. It's very good. 1 to 2.0. Yeah, let's have a, we will have to work this out. What happened here? What have we got wrong? It's 15:15. That's definitely what we had. Strange. Right, 10,000 feet. Up we go. Get rid of the landing lights. Let the seatbelts off. There we go. Nicely range. Not a problem here. And we go to 370, still on heading. Got the terrain display on, but yeah, let's make sure that is on. There we go. Not a lot to see. Lauren says, thought you said southwest there for a second. Hopefully not. Electroc Soldier says, didn't realise you streamed on Twitch also. Just swapped over. Yeah, indeed, we do on both at the moment. That is the plan. Oscar says, when did Airbus change? When did Airbus change from yoke to stick? After this generation, basically. 320 came out after this, and it was the side stick. Revelation. These days, you see it. Most modern airlines are starting to go into that trend. Let's get the flight control page. Direct Rhodos, Cyprus 319er. Now, he very kindly labelled it Romeo Delta Sierra. 3 letters will be a VOR normally. There we go. And 2 things to do. Press nav as well. There we go. Nav, profile thrust, profile climb, and that's going to turn to Rhodos. But yeah, it's nice to sometimes show off when you do actually know the name. Some controllers would expect you to know the name, and they'll list it. And if you're not used to flying in that part of the world, it can often be a bit confusing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So where's Athens going to be? That we'll see it on here, won't we? Although my Simlink is... Oh no, outside charts. Okay, let's try... There we go. So we're actually going to cut a big chunk of this route, because there's no reason... This is all Athena airspace, so we can just go from here over to here, Rhodos here. We don't need to talk to Turkey doing that, so they can coordinate that themselves. What you'll find is that you won't be allowed to cut through someone else's airspace early, because they won't coordinate it like that. So we're actually going to skip Athens, which is down here somewhere. No, Boeing won't stick to a side stick. I suspect you're right there. But if you look at, for example, the new Falcon, Sam Chewy had a good video on the Falcon something. But yeah, that looked like it had a very Airbusy flight deck, including even tray tables. So that's where the corporate luxury's gone.
Negative 6736.
Matthew Presley, good to see you. Matthew says, flew in Greece for the first time a few weeks ago. We Americans are terrible with their accents. 4 pilots straining to understand a clearance. I hope you're enjoying your new job, Matthew, and I assume you're on the 767 by now. But great to see you here. And yeah, you're cruising around Europe. You're in our stomping ground now. Excellent. Yeah, that's a good speed. Oh, Fly Live's not come to life. Why is that? Still doesn't know what an A310 is, strangely enough. There we go.
Ready for fire descent, runway 247 Charlie.
Good. Maxim says, is it not possible for V2 to be below VLS on the A310? Obviously should not be on 320, perhaps it's different. It's perhaps different, but I don't think so. I don't think so, Maxim. I don't know for sure though.
500 feet, QNH 1009er, and it will be the runway 15 report when...
Bobby's getting crashes with the airplane, sadly. Okay, hopefully that is sorted soon. Gazelle says, what can you do in the EFB? You can do checklists, you can load the airplane, you can do the ground handling, the doors, and you can adjust the settings and have some panel states. Yeah, very nice indeed. Alright, let's quick check out the fuel. So, fuel used, almost 2 tons, 1.8 tons. Got 12.4, so that comes to 13.4, about 14.2, so that's about right.
Easy, 31 Tango Charlie. Can you confirm is it
Planned arrival fuel.
to Delta or Charlie, please?
Progress.
Whatever you want. If yeah, you're an A319, so
They improved the flight plan page a lot in the 320 because it includes the information automatically on the bottom, including the fuel
We'll push on to Delta.
expected to have there.
advise 100.
Here we have to go progress fuel prediction. So at Larnaca, 7 tons. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Our planned arrival fuel was... we need 5.5 as final reserve and alternate. So yeah, we're doing alright for fuel.
And 247 Charlie, continue.
Continue approach, runway 247 Charlie.
Yeah, very interesting. On takeoff, it was good to see the takeoff config for the probes. Not all aircraft have that, so that was good. Wouldn't have mattered today, clear skies, but in icing certainly. Yeah, I imagine that would generate an ECAM, but it's there are some airplanes that will happily let you take off, and they'll just have a little orange light like this somewhere, and the pitos won't be on. So that is, I'm really impressed that it has that built into the takeoff config. What if we run the takeoff thing now? Oh, that's the accumulator. What am I doing? There we go. Yeah, no flaps and so on. Airbus has the ECAM memo instead. There is a takeoff config in the 320, but it's sort of hidden into the system. It all runs as part of the, basically when you press takeoff on the ECAM. So I suppose that is the same. No, that is takeoff config. What am I talking about? That is actually a takeoff config. I just don't think of it as one. I don't have lifetime on just because I don't tend to stream nighttime streams, just because it's pretty hard to see anything. We can do it if you like, but we should do one soon. We should do another one soon. This is a very pretty airplane at night, but that's why. Electrox says, I did my first crossing of the pond of this Shannon to Boston. Very nice. Lattell's chasing the sunset the whole way. Yes. Very good. Kessel says, does this plane come with announcements? That would be cool. Oh, I don't think so. Graham Christie says, can you explain what galley shed is? Indeed, and there's no problem asking that. That's a good question. Galley shed will just depower certain systems in the galley. So it's called shed, i.e. you're shedding systems. So you'd only do that if you're trying to save power. For example, if you've lost some of your electrical generation capabilities, let's say one of your generators has failed or something. Once again, we do have this button in the 320, but the majority of it now is automatic. So if we're running a one generator, the A320 will actually shed the galley automatically, and you'll see it on the ECAM status. You get a little message. So yeah, that's all that's doing. Just turns off some systems. So things like the kettle won't work, or the ovens won't work, things like that. Birdman says, in general, would you maintain green dot speed and clean config just before ILS incept? Yeah, or even you'd probably, before ILS incept, you'd be probably flaps 1 or have some slats out. You don't want to join the glide slope in particular clean. That makes life very difficult, because a clean airplane coming down a 3-degree glide slope will often accelerate a jet aircraft I'm talking about here. The Q400 could do it quite comfortably down clean. You wouldn't have to put flap out. But on these aircraft, you need some sort of flaps out for drag. Maxim says, you can't even go through Turkey airspace as far as I know when flying to from Cyprus. So it's an interesting thing about, I don't know if it's labelled on here actually, the Nicosia Erjan control. So that's, no, they just listed it as Nicosia. Yeah, interesting. Okay. This is a famous little bit of airspace. I don't know how many people know about it. We are staying in Greek airspace before we go to Nicosia, so it's actually quite simple on this route. I don't know how many people know about the alternative. Flying for Fun says, we had a brand new Gulfstream G600 Extra last week doing visual circuits with it. Reg M and her. Sadly, it wasn't blue and pink. No, that's a shame, but how cool. Thanks for letting us know, Flying for Fun. I wonder who has that. A lot of Isle of Man registered aircraft for all sorts of financial reasons, I believe. George says, evening, Larnaca, have family there. Excellent. Excellent, George. George says, been a long day, but F1 segue. Are you glad the season's over? Looking forward to next year and hopefully a competitive Merc. Indeed, George, I am very glad. I am very glad. Right. Nick says, I'm working on a paper for school about how pilot work-related stress can make mental issues with pilots worse, and why they may hide any issues they may have, and possible solutions. I want to hear your thoughts. That's a big topic. Ooh. That would be a podcast topic. Yeah. I'll have a think about that one. But yeah, big topic. Big topic. And it's very good that people are aware of it. So it's a great topic to be studying, Nick. So well done on that. That's a really good one. And yeah, possible solutions is great.
Ryanair 247 Charlie, go around.
Oh, someone going around. We had to do that last stream. Yeah. There you go. We're completely cutting out Athens. That's going to save us quite a bit of time, I'd have thought. Yeah, I'll see if I come back to that, Nick. But that's a good one. Yes, it needs pilots need support, obviously, like anyone in any job or career does, and they need to be able to get that support when they need it. So what some airlines have now is a peer system where you can talk to other pilots about these issues, or they can guide you where you might be able to get the support you're looking for, things like that. Ice-T says, so what do you think about the whole 1500-hour rule situation? So I did see, funnily enough, I don't watch mentor pilot videos, but I happen to have seen a part of that one, because that one was referring to a Q400 incident, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with, involved a Q400 that stalled, and the pilots reacted in the wrong way in quite a few senses, and it crashed and killed everybody on board. I believe it was everybody, or a lot of people. That incident triggered some changes and included needing pilots to have more than 1,500 hours before they're allowed to fly commercial aircraft in the United States. Now in Europe we don't have that rule. In Europe you can do it straight from cadet level. There's heated debate both sides, but I don't personally see the value of 1,500 hours of flying around in a single engine, piston engine Cessna over desert, or whatever other way you might have got that experience, because you could just be paying for it. You know, there's no guarantee that that's a useful experience. The actual experience you need to be an effective airline pilot comes from sitting on the flight deck. So somebody who walks in with 1,500 hours flying around in a Cessna will be, I don't think they might have some, they've got more experience, but their ability to keep up with a jetliner and the issues that we face at work day to day will be limited because they haven't been exposed to it. Dealing with the passengers and the crew and operations and big airports and small airports and dealing with snow and all of this sort of stuff. This is stuff that they may not have seen. Fueling, load sheets, and the typical issues we see day to day. Changes in runway, changes in performance, how we can handle air traffic control, how we handle other traffic. It's an endlessly dynamic job, and you haven't really been exposed to any of it with 1,500 hours flying around in a Cessna. So that's my thoughts on that. And Mentor Pilot did make the point in the video about the fact that both pilots in that incident were over that threshold anyway. They both had over 1,500 hours, so they were actually there's a reason to believe that they were very tired as well. That's my basic thoughts on it. I don't want to get too critical. I'm not privy to all the information. I'm not as studied as the people who come up with this stuff. But it's interesting that Europe doesn't have that restriction at all. But there's lots of things that are different between US and Europe, so it doesn't mean it's wrong or right. I'm sorry, I'm way behind on the chat, but there we go. Stormcoat says, I'm sure we'd love to have a podcast where you just answer the questions from viewers. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Stormcoat. Yeah. It's a growing idea in my mind, the podcast, because I'm finding that I'm struggling to get the streams in as frequently as I'd like. The only thing with the podcast, and a lot of people say that they like to discuss. So they like to listen to videos I've made, and if you could do that while driving or something, or whilst doing other stuff, maybe people would enjoy that instead of having to have YouTube open watching a video. I don't know though. Also, it would remove some of the interaction elements, which might make it easier to listen to for 4 hours rather than me talking live to you guys. I imagine some people would prefer to hear it directly. That's why I still make the videos, so people who want to see how to fly this airplane straight through without having me stop and talk, which I can understand. It took us an hour to get going today, which my whole flight tutorial is only an hour long on the 310, so there we go. So something I'm definitely considering. I just need to figure out the format and also whether it's actually something people want, I suppose. But something I'm considering anyway. Right, let me have a look through here. Kelby, thanks so much for the $10 super chat. Really, really appreciate it. Kelby says, I wonder why I didn't get a Discord notification for the stream. Anyway, hope all is well. Okay, thanks, Kelpie. You're not the first person who said... I did... I've done it. So I did the @everyone earlier, and I can see now in my live notification 5 minutes before the stream, I didn't put @everyone. I just wrote it into the channel. So that's my mistake. Apologies for that. Thanks so much for coming along, Kelpie. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I hope you're doing very, very well, and great to see you here. And thanks for supporting the channel, as always. Really very kind. Right, let me scroll right down, just way, way behind. Matthew Presley says, let me chime into how our system works. Our ATP only has one written test. It's because the FAA views experience as superior to knowledge. The idea behind the ATP requirement for the airline cockpit is to allow pilots to make mistakes before they have 80 people's lives in their hands. Yes. So there you go. So that's an alternative argument to what I said earlier of the experience you might gain from that flight time in the small aircraft before you're allowed to fly an airliner. Maybe it isn't that useful for flying an airliner. But there's an alternative view from Matthew there. And that one written test is very interesting. Lauren B says, V1 had a good chat with his members last night on it. Mentor gets a few things wrong. There are lots more of these low-hour jobs in the US than Europe. But also, it's not just 172s, especially those pilots who fly GA cargo in single twin turboprops are exposed to a variety of airline-like situations. While it's wrong to require that, and 1,500 hours is arbitrary, it's not like there isn't a way to 1,500 hours. It would just be excellent for airlines to provide tuition reimbursement. There you go. Another alternative view. So just... Yeah, there you go. There you go. Interesting. Hayden says, when's the helicopter stream bit? I'm hoping we can do... What I want to do for that one is fly a few of the missions. So it'll probably be a Twitch stream where we'll do a few of the missions, and we can fly the helicopters as well, and start branching out into some of the other bits from the latest update, Hayden. That's my current plan, if I can get that to work. Mike says podcast would be great. Matthew Presley says, trust me, between 250 and 1,500 hours, you'll make a lot of stupid mistakes. Yeah, so I totally agree, but I also think that, you know, someone who joins... People make mistakes at 250 hours. People make mistakes at 1,500 and 2,000 and 5,000 hours. And a lot of those mistakes specific to airline flying. Now, it is true, you know, there are more jobs in the US and there's more small-time job. Aviation is a bigger part of US culture. So that is the advantage there, that you could just go and get jobs in smaller aircraft. If they brought in the 1,500-hour rule in Europe, it would just destroy the training industry, because no one... I wouldn't destroy... Well, who could become a pilot? How are you all going to get 1,500 hours? It's unlikely. We don't have the same sort of thing. So that is a potential reason there's that 1,500-hour rule. It might make... It's more sense... Has more sense in the context of America. Obviously, you can tell that this is a bit of a hot topic because, of course, pilots in Europe basically might interpret it as saying that they aren't experienced enough to become airline pilots, according to America. But that's the legislation changes all over the world. Lots of different requirements. You know, a lot of American airlines required degrees for a long time, which they haven't in Europe. Because, you know, what would be the point of a degree in any random topic when you're trying to become an airline pilot? It doesn't mean anything, does it? So lots of ways to do it, but yeah. But I don't want to start. I don't want anyone to think I'm criticizing either way. The fact is, those pilots on that plane that triggered this rule both had over 1,500 hours. So that's the reality. And more interesting is the sleep pattern and commuting aspects of it. But you know, it's also undeniable that the reactions to the aircraft stall were wrong, and the Dash 8 is not an airplane that you want to stall, as that incident shows. Fine Fun says 320 Sim Pilot as a star guest on the FR24 podcast. Oh, I don't know FR24. Someone named someone earlier, and I didn't see the answer. There was somebody a name that I should have as a guest. Who were they? Sandler says, but can you fly from Europe to USA without the minimum hours for flying as an airline in USA? So, for example, if you're a cadet on long-haul flight from Europe to USA, yes, you can, Sanders. Yep. So, don't forget, over the USA, there are plenty of pilots flying around from other countries. However, it's unlikely, if you're flying around in a long-haul aircraft, you're unlikely to have the 200 hours. You probably have more than 1,500 hours, is the reality of it. You're more likely to be an experienced pilot on a long-haul aircraft. Matthew Presley says the FAA ATP isn't anywhere near the book knowledge that EASA one requires. Yes, so the EASA Air Transport Pilot's License theory tests are hugely academic based, includes sections on supersonic and all sorts, and you could argue, well, that's totally some of that stuff is not relevant to day-to-day airline flying. Indeed, bits that you forget as you go through your career are likely to be things that you just didn't need to know that much, frankly. There's a lot of theory in the European and UK syllabuses, so that is a very fair point. Patrick says, I just started gliding. Will it make me a better airline pilot or more likely to receive a job with an airline? I can't say either of those things for sure, but showing an interest in aviation will make you look good to airlines and especially cadets schemes before you are fully trained up. If you become fully trained later on and you're applying for jobs, it might not make too much difference that you're a glider pilot, but if you enjoy it, that's great, and you might consider it helps you become a better pilot. It's entirely how you view it, really. It's quite a different thing, though, gliding to powered flight in some senses. By the way, cruise on the thrust reference panel. Is it thrust reference? Oh, I forgot the name. TRP, I think it was. Making that up. Thanks for the follow to Napkin. Captain Chris was the guy. Yeah, who's Captain Chris, Brian? So you can see him on Insta. Okay, I don't have Instagram. Lauren B says, if you're brand new to FO for Emirates or another long-haul airline, maybe your first real airline flight is 777. It is possible. It is possible. The Dash 7 is coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. The Dash 8. Oh, where's that coming from, Hayden? That would be very good. Mr. Espresso, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Great to see you here. Oh, there you go. Matthew says you should see some of the questions on our written if you want to see Reddit. So there's still plenty. I mean, there's ones in the European tests that, I mean, it's all changed since I did it, but I'm sure that there's still plenty of questions that you might raise an eyebrow or two at about their relevance, such as naming of specific winds in certain valleys and things like that. They're just unlikely to be a major concern.
Charlie climb to flight level 376.
Right.
Good afternoon,
Simply Tom says first ever flight to London City was operated by Dash 7 from Plymouth. Brian Harris, very good. Yep, very good. Dash 7 is going to be great. So who's doing the Dash? Christopher Shaw says Dash 78 is the absolute dream. Oh, very good. Lauren B says type rating course is the real exam. So yes, that's it. I learnt. I'll tell you, the most useful flying experience that translated into. I think it's closing. The most useful.
Thanks for the ATC services. 349 bye bye.
Thank you. Right, 128. Yeah, so the very nice controller doing a great job there. So we're still pointing at Rhodos. Yeah, the most experienced, or the best flying experience I got was actually in airliner simulators for So the later stage of your flight training, when you're doing sort of things like your multi-crew and all that sort of stuff, that is the experience that you had to do the basics to get there, but that's where I really started to learn about coordinating between two pilots and how that works, and complex aircraft and the speed at which we operate these aircraft. Because don't forget, a lot of your initial flight training is done at sort of 100 knots and suddenly you're doing or what are we doing over the ground, 478, and as we get lower, you know, we could be still going very fast, and it's yeah, that's seriously useful stuff. Yeah. Ferdinand says, is there anything in the A300 family that you would like to be brought back into modern Airbuses? Yes. Flight plan, selecting the waypoint, and the way the airways are listed. Please bring that back into the A320. I really like that. Otherwise, some people would say the moving thrust levers. Very common complaint of Airbus pilots would be, I say that. A thing I have experienced people complaining about would be the thrust levers. That they don't move, so you don't get a sense of where the engine power is. Now, I would say in the short-haul Airbus family, you can actually hear the engines okay, and you can always look on these dials to see it. So M1's up here, it's quite obvious. Same on the ECAM of the A320. But nevertheless, pilots who've flown Boeings often think that these should move, so you could sort of adjust them as you see fit. That would probably, I wouldn't mind that change. I think that would be fine. I don't think it's particularly advantageous that they don't move, put it that way. Otherwise, I certainly don't want to see a yoke. And what else do I like about this one? No, I think all the best features they brought forward and then improved on, really. They cleaned this FCU up in particular. Matthew Presley says, we have a set that go like this. You are at 120 knots after landing when you decide to abort and go around. It will take you 14 seconds to accelerate to rotation speed. Assume an average ground speed of 135 knots. How much runway will you need to abort landing? Okay, yes, I see. That's a great question. Very good. Chris Shaw likes the aircraft. Yeah, I think this is a nice looking airplane. Yeah. Stormcode says, as a passenger, I hate the Dash 8. The engine noise are so loud, but it's probably a fun plane to fly in FS. Stormcode, if you're flying around with Dash 8 regularly, sit at the back. Don't sit at the front. Sit at the back. In jet aircraft, the back tends to be a little bit noisier. You get the rumble of the engines, but at the very front, they're quieter. In the Dash 8, you don't want to be in the front near the propellers. You want to be at the back for the noise. SKW says, so we had you off 1.6 in an A310 and me off 1.0 in an A319, but great service and good to have control out of Thessaloniki. SKW, yeah, indeed. I actually asked for 1.6. Yeah. Lauren B says, V1 was talking about how a lot of ex-cargo guys know a bit more about airline type things, coordination with company dealing with ramp control, than military CFI other jobs. Yes. That's exactly it. Yeah. A huge part of flying an airliner these days is that side of things. It's the management of operations and boarding and load sheets and is that electric wheelchair allowed in the cabin or does it go in the hold? You know, these are all the things that we deal with. Once we get in the air and we're doing the flying, that's just the flying. You know, everyone can fly level at a certain altitude and a certain speed. You can do that. That experience is, you know, but even that, like, it's a jet aircraft, so if we change the power setting, the trim changes and all this stuff, different to a Cessna where it's in line. So yeah, it does depend, but operationally, it's just a different world. Oggy says, when a plane is doing 500 miles an hour, how come we don't feel that as a passenger? You don't feel it because you only notice acceleration as a passenger. Once you're steady doing something, you won't feel it. Sven says the side stick should be connected like yokes. Interesting. Yeah, that could be nice. A very complicated system, but that could be nice. Katz, Justin says the bench seat in the back of the Dash 8 100 and 200 is the best seat if you can get it by yourself. That does sound good. I've never been on a 100 or 200. Christopher likes the front of the Dash 8 for the power. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Patrick says, what would happen if both pilots move stick in opposite direction? So in this, you can't do that because they'll be connected, although there's probably a disconnect somewhere. Or a system to, if they over torque it, that they could disconnect. In the Airbus, if you both move the sticks, you'll get a warning, dual input, and then someone would have to take over. But what it would actually do is it would add up the addition. So if someone went full left and someone went full right on the two side sticks in the 320, it would go nowhere. It would cancel each other out. Someone says, I'll book a seat in the back next time then. Yeah, the back is definitely where the noise is a bit better. Yeah. On the 400 anyway. Right. I'm just going to do an initial poll then onto YouTube while we have a second here in the cruise. Dash 7 is from Simwork, says Hayden. Excellent. Dash 8 might be coming from Majestic. Oh, I really hope they bring their Dash 8. That would just be brilliant. I'd like to see the Beluga, as I've said before, as well. Yeah, I don't know. My chat's coming through late. By the way, Matthew, are you on the 767 now? Kelpie says, so are you saying that before I go to regionals, I'd be at a disadvantage getting 1,500 hours in a PA-44 Seminole? What else would I fly to have an advantage in a cadet scheme? About Cessna comments. Okay. Kelpie. I'll answer Kelpie's question in a second. Giuseppe says, the Dash 7 is made by Simwork Studios and pilots. It should be almost done. Excellent. Thank you, Giuseppe. Thanks for that information. Right. Kelpie is asking, before I go to regionals... So, Kelpie, I'm guessing you're in the States because of the very kind US dollar donations. But the PA-44, that's a twin engine, isn't it? So the person to ask about this is Matthew Presley or any American... Yes, twin engine. Any American pilots. But I'm not suggesting you'd be at a disadvantage at all for flying in small light aircraft, because that's the requirement in the US to get the 1,500 hours. And I don't know if there's any advantage, actual practical advantage to getting that job. I suspect the airlines just want someone who's qualified, and legally you have to be qualified. What we're talking about here is whether that 1,500 rule thing, our rule, is... What do we think of that rule as it exists, seeing as we don't have it in Europe? But I'm not saying that it's a disadvantage to go in a Cessna and do that 1,500 hours, because if that's the rule, that's the rule. I'm just saying that I don't know whether that rule generates the sort of experience that I would think is immediately relevant to airline flying. Not to say it's irrelevant, and not to say it won't be fun, and it's probably going to be some of the funnest flying you'll do. But you know, it's that's what I mean by that. And a Seminole is a twin engine, so multi-engine experience is certainly useful, because multi-engine flying is always useful. I do know some people who've got themselves jobs on a single engine aircraft, being sort of a luxury aircraft or a turbine aircraft like a PC-12, and then they might want to move to airlines, but they struggle because airlines want multi-engine time, because of course there's no single engine airliners out there yet. So anyway, so no, please don't misinterpret what I'm saying, that it's not worth doing. I'm just saying I don't know if it generates the actual result that's intended. Matthew says, yep, 767, love it, other than the flight engineer memorial panel takes up a ton of room. Very good. Well, glad to hear you're enjoying it. I can't believe that's brilliant. Excellent. 767, that's great. That was the 400, was it? Or is that giving too much away? Birdman says, I always like to sit at the front of the aircraft so I can hear any enunciations. Yes, if you sit in the front 10 rows of the Airbus, you'll probably hear the autopilot disconnect. RMB says, so sure, banner towing isn't a great hour building time, but you won't be doing all 1,500 hours of your time towing banners. You'll be doing a few different jobs. Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Good luck finding a job banner towing in Europe. They're out there, but there's not enough for everyone, that's for sure. Matthew says, the biggest thing, stick and rudder, is the V1 cuts, and the thing to remember is to use the rudder. Whatever experience you get to force, you remember to use the rudder is good. Yes, of course, engine failures, FATOs, I have done a couple of videos on them, and they are a big part of your manual flying in airliner aircraft. They are really, I mean, my goodness, in the Dash 8, that's quite an event. Giuseppe says, Majestic confirmed the Dash 7 Q400, that'd be the 8, I guess. Dash 8 Q400 is being worked on currently, but they can't give a timeline yet because they're rewriting all the gauges. They're going to do a Q300 from scratch later. Excellent. Great news, Giuseppe. Thanks so much. That was 2 hours ago. Excellent. Great news. Giving too much away to Matthew. Yeah, I thought so. There's not many 400s out there. Do you leave sounds at default? Yes, I have this time. Yes, we are at default. Have we gone over roads yet? No. Excellent. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. ODG says, can you fly the lads home from Qatar next stream? There you go. Maybe if we get over, maybe if we hit 70,000, that could be the next long haul stream. I still haven't decided what to do for that. So we do have a, yeah, we've got options. We've got lots of options. Critic says, hi, is this A310 extremely sensitive to winds because it wobbles so much during takeoff? The rudder at the start of the takeoff roll, if you're using the nose wheel steering on the rudder pedals, the rudder axes, then yes, it's quite overly sensitive because it's driving the nose wheel steering at the same time. That's not what the real aircraft will be like, but it's just a function of using nose wheel steering and rudder inputs. As you get faster, that effect reduces and the nose wheel steering turns off automatically. So it's very good. It's just limited by that feature. If you have a separate tiller axes, I think it would be better. I haven't tried it. OG says, loving this plane on Xbox, finally a complex plane. Indeed, yes, indeed. It is very good. Yeah, no, it's great. This is really nice. We just had some performance issues last stream. I'm hoping to see rectified. It seems to be running smoother today, but that's probably me speaking too soon. Remember, we did fly into Gatwick with scenery and London and other aircraft on VATSIM, so it did add up to be quite something. Yeah, no, it's all very, very nice. Let's do a bit of a systems check. And I used to find this aircraft a little bit difficult because it was close to the 320 but not quite there, but I feel like I'm getting a bit more comfortable with it, mostly, although as you saw the probe heat was left off because I didn't do that in the flow. Where should that have been? So again, on 320 we don't have to do it, hence I didn't remember to do it. It wasn't in any checklist, which I'm a little surprised at, but of course the takeoff config would have picked it up. And now the takeoff config was there. There you go. So we missed over that takeoff config. That's where we went wrong there. That would have caught it. So I'm assuming it's after starts. You would have turned those on. By the way, the no, not in the after starts. The pitos and windows are all automatically heated on the 320, so they will actually, when you get to a 320 in the snow, it won't automatically be done. And we do have a button we can press to override it. It sits about here, just above the APU. Pro window heat, and you can turn it on sitting on stand, and that will help melt things down. By the way, the increased textures makes a big difference. It looks a lot nicer up here. Yeah, so you can use that, but you have to be careful because if you have snow on the windows and you turn that on, it will melt the snow, and then it will run down the side. And if it's very cold outside, it will just freeze into ridges again on the fuselage, and then that's bad news because that will affect the pitos. So you got to be careful with that one. Okay, so can you show me how to use the weather radar? Yeah. Let's give it a go. So weather radar, turn it to a system, 1 or 2. There's probably only 1 radar. Not many airlines pay for 2 radars. That's a bit of an indulgence. Turn that off. You have to have terrain off so you can see it. And then you would set it to weather. So you've got test, weather, turbulence, map. So I'm going to set it to weather. Now, I believe turbulence should include both. On the 320 it would say weather and turbulence, but there we go. Tilt, set it to... In the cruise, you set it ever so slightly down, maybe 1 degree down, half a degree down, and gain can stay on auto. Now, I don't think, to be honest, a lot of that actually makes an impact, although test works, so yeah, fair enough. That's good news. Critic says, I have a separate tiller. For takeoff, I use rudder inputs, but it still wobbles. Yeah, so just to confirm, Critic, you're finding that it wobbles and you can't use the rudder to do nose wheel steering. Patrick says, do you use 1215 on standby in real life? Yes, you do. ODG John would like to see the 310 flown in shared cockpit. Yeah, that would be good. So when it's finished running its test, we should see the weather return on there. What have I missed? Something's happened here. Okay, that's fine. Giuseppe says, yeah, I met the Dash 8. Seriously, I can see. Busy time, is it, Giuseppe? Yeah, very good. Hope you get some sleep soon and you get to relax a bit. Interesting question, Lauren V. Yeah, Lauren V wonders if long-haul airlines are more likely to have 2 weather radars. So Matthew, does your 767 have a second radar? I'm sure that's not public knowledge, so... Radars are surprisingly reliable. I've only ever had one fail. Very rare in my experience. And they're often the same radars used across companies because they're obviously just bought in. So Honeywell make a lot of the radars. Now that's test is not going, so I must still have it in the wrong thing. So let's put it over there. There we go. So set it to turbulence. That seems to be the one. And then I've got tilt minus 1.5. So in theory, if I tilt it up into the sky, that display should disappear. So to 10 degrees up, I want to see just it would go blank, but I don't think the tilt is doing much. I think it's just displaying Microsoft Flight Simulator's weather. So it looks like it's pretty non-functional right now in that tilt sense, but it does display, which is nice. So avoid the red areas at all costs. You can go through green, but green, if you're up high like this, I mean, I think this is probably a bit of ground return. It looks like it anyway. But yeah, green, you can go through like this area, no problem, but I would not try and go through this area here. No chance. That would not be good news. Mike Baker says, needs to be set to turbo return. It's a bug. It's offset by one position. Okay, thanks very much. There we go. Yeah. Matthew says, yeah, ETOPS birds have a lot more redundancy built in and have fewer MELs. There you go. So, because it's twin engine, I guess it probably has. So it does have two. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. It's just 2D, top down, no tilts. Thanks very much. Yeah, there you go. So quite a basic implementation, but nonetheless an implementation of the radar, which is very good. Tuck says, found out a couple of months ago that I'm going to Cyprus next year for 4 years, courtesy of the army, and funded by yourselves, the taxpayer. 4 years of hard graft. Well, I hope it goes well for you, Tax. Yeah, enjoy. Simply Tom says, I flew a full motion 320 sim in Manchester and asked him to fail an engine on a go around, and I stalled and span into the ground. There you go. Yeah, it's the 320 does a lot for you. I'm surprised at that, but maybe you're in a degraded mode of some variety to get a bit more manual flying out of it. But yeah, even the A320, it's very protected, but it is possible to mishandle it nonetheless. Still, it must have been fun. A full motion 320 sim is a great experience. Yeah, very good. Right. I'm just going to do an initial poll for a gauge for the silent voters out there as well. About the podcast. So I've described a little bit earlier the podcast, but I'm thinking about doing it. It might cost, because it's going to take time. I don't know if it would remove, and I'm not promising I'll do it either. It might remove the a stream maybe a month if I have to do the podcast. I doubt it would be weekly. It might be bi-week, every 2 weeks, something like that. I'd hope more than once a month. Currently, I'm thinking if I did a podcast, it would be hosted by me, of course, and then we would have guests on, anyone who's willing. It would be maybe some faces from the channel that you've maybe seen or we've spoken to, maybe some of you as flight simmers, maybe obviously other pilots that I know if they're willing to, and maybe other streamers and so on if I can get them to come on. So that would be the general intention. It would either be available publicly, and I don't know, I haven't done any research on this side, or it might become something that we can make a membership for on YouTube and have a members area to get hold of it. I don't know if that's possible or not yet, so that is something I would need to look into. So I don't know whether I would do it and just put it out there like the videos. It might be a reward for members of the channel, as it were, which might be a nice way to do it. And yeah, so that's the current thinking, and it wouldn't necessarily be very long each week. And I'd like to sort of talk a bit about real world aviation and then a bit about Flight Simland, and yeah, that's the general idea. So I'm going to put a poll up. If I can remember how. So remember those limitations that I've just given you. It might be members, and it might cost a stream. Right, that's on YouTube. If anyone would like to vote, you are very welcome to. Yeah, I just want to be realistic with you, and I might do another as a community post later on, so I have a poll for a wider audience than just you who are here today. But I appreciate the feedback today though a lot, because of course you are the ones that you're my relatively engaged viewers, or very engaged viewers. And he says if V1 makes his podcast for members only. Oh, there you go. So it is possible. Okay. Thanks, SKW. Stuart says, just join the stream to hear you talk about a podcast. Brilliant idea. I love a podcast. There we go. Yeah, there are advantages to having it. I can see that totally. Checkpoint says, by her, I would say yes, but the sad reality is that I won't have time for it. Ah, that's a shame, Checkpoint. Yeah, absolutely fair enough. Fair enough. ODG says, the 320 Sim Pilot experience. Featuring Joe Rogan. There was like a gliding stream. Yes, so if I get to stream, I might do a sort of a Twitch stream soon where we're going to look at some of the Microsoft Flight Simulator missions, the new, and I love the old FSX missions, including helicopters and perhaps a bit of gliding. Those streams, you know, they turn into a bit of a podcast really as we just chat. The one thing about the streams that I like is this generates questions and engagements from you guys. So I get these questions come up because of things we see in the stream, which perhaps wouldn't happen if I was podcasting. But then I would aim to have a guest on. No guarantee I'd even manage that. It might just be me, but either way. Okay, we're at 58 votes, 91% yes. So yeah, fair enough. That's a good start. And yeah, absolutely fair enough. If someone doesn't think they'd be interested in it, or they'd rather just see more streams, then that's what no says, you know. So yeah, no ill feelings either way. It's genuine interest on my part, because you know, I've done things before and then subsequently found out people aren't interested. You know, it's just the way it goes. Social media, you know. Nick K says, can I be a member? I didn't know you had memberships. I don't have it yet, Nick. I've long thought about memberships, and I haven't had anything to give out to members. So this could be a way to do that. It's not really how I've done the channel or this community so far. Everything's been available, and then people have very kindly donated if they choose to. But I sort of enjoy I think I'd like the aspect of having it slightly more enclosed in the community, as it were. I quite like engaging in conversation on the Discord, because I know I'm there with my Discord people, as opposed to just broadcasting it to the world and then getting feedback from everyone who maybe clicked on it thinking it was something different or whatever. It's quite nice. We could always have a Q&A segment where the guest can offer additional insight interrogation. Indeed, yeah, that's a great idea, Lauren V. And yeah, the name as well. I can do a poll for the name, perhaps. That Serious Pilot says, oh yes please. Okay, so podcasts are very popular these days, aren't they? Very, very, very popular, and I enjoy them as well, so I can see that. Rakon says, I'd like to hear more about your real world flying in podcasts, personal experiences, the details of what it means to do your job, without names or direct references, of course. Thanks, Rakon. Interesting. Yeah, it would provide, perhaps, I mean, essentially what we're doing here, this turns into a podcast. My long haul streams do as well, and any longer flight I've done does, where we are just talking and talking, and that's great. I really enjoy that. So I like this because I get to engage with you directly, and the stream provides a nice sort of excuse to do that. With the podcast, we'd be missing that engagement, but I'm just thinking aloud here. But I could hopefully have someone else on, and we could do that way. And he says, I think £2 a month for the podcast and a members only area within the Discord is reasonable considering the size of the channel now. Thanks, Andy. Yep. Always a chance to do live episode 2 to yeah, there you go. Very good. Just over to, sorry, I've just been on YouTube there because my chat's been a bit slow. Checkpoint says, will we see some casual Twitch streams as well? They were great. Yes, Checkpoint, that is coming soon. That's my plan for the next one. I don't know whether it will be with the dinosaurs, but it will be the missions is the plan for that. Apologies, I've been missing the Twitch chat a bit. Nick says, I can never figure out that one glider mission in FSX. No, nor could I. Nor could I. Evening, John. John flew into a very gusty Glasgow. Landing was absolute butter. Despite that, hats off to the pilot. There you go. Very good. Yeah, breezy day today. Birdman says, it would be great to act as instructor in cockpit and invite member along. I don't know if you can do that live. Yes, this discussion has come up with some members before. I have had this discussion about live feedback and so on. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely time to explore something, a different idea like this. It's something we should definitely try something new. I've been enjoying what we do, but I want to try something new with it as well. I think we have so many options now, and I'm especially over winter would be a good time to invest a bit of time into it and think of it. And podcast appeals, maybe some live stuff. Yeah, that'd be good. Nick K, thanks so much for £10 super chat. Really appreciate it, Nick. That's very kind. Nick says, just a thanks for the channel. Flippin' love it. That's really, really appreciated. Thank you, Nick. Very kind of you. I hope you're doing very well, and thank you for supporting the channel and your very kind words. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing very well. Very well indeed. So yeah, that's far too kind. Thanks for those kind words. It makes a big difference. I really like to hear it. If you are on YouTube, by the way, and you are enjoying it, a like goes a long way. I really would appreciate any likes if you are able to donate them on YouTube. So really appreciate it. How are we doing viewer-wise? So yeah, there's almost 50 of you on Twitch. So we've definitely grown on Twitch. That's becoming a popular platform for some people here. Checkpoint says, if we're splitting ideas, a bit late for this season, but we need a 320 Empire ugly Christmas sweater. Yeah. Yes, the merchandise is out of date. I know. It's also not priced very well anymore. So I need to have a look at that. I do need to have a look at that as well. So much to do. It's amazing how the time has gone. Yeah, no, so much to do. Thank you again, Nick, for that very kind donation. Really appreciate it. Scott says, how long before top descent? Not long, just over 80 miles, so we better getting ready. I'm using the Thrustmaster Airbus side stick, but that is the exciting news. It's not that exciting, but I did find on a great sale in the UK the Boeing Thrustmaster setup, £100 off. So I do now have the Boeing Thrustmaster, and I have every intention of figuring out how I can use that. I'm not in the beta for Microsoft Flight Simulator. No. Serious Pilot says, can you do multi-crew flight? Different guests every flight? Yes. So yes, I don't know which aircraft work multi-crew at the moment. It's even in X-Plane, it takes a bit of care. FSX was great for that. We could have done that quite easily. No passengers allowed in the cockpit in flight, OG, I'm afraid. Lauren B says, alternatively, 767 long-haul stream with Matthew Presley, where we discuss the differences between long-haul and short-haul flying. Yeah, indeed. Right. Matthew says, just need my catered business class meal. There you go. Ragman says, flight level 320. Yes, there's another good one. Yes. I've got 3 names then. We've got Not for Real World Use, flight level 320, and Children of the Magenta. I think Children of the Magenta, I like it because magenta's the colour of the channel. I think it's an often misinterpreted phrase. The Airbus doesn't use magenta for the line anyway, or the flight directors. But does it? No, they're green. Yeah, they're green. Like I hear. But it would amuse me. However, that doesn't mean it makes sense or amuses anybody else. So I think that one, Children of Magenta, probably doesn't work as a name. So we're at 95 votes. So when it gets to 100 votes, I'm going to pull the poll. We're currently at 82% yes, which is heavily endorsed. But yeah. Stone says, thanks for what you do. Been on Microsoft Flight Simulator for 12 months and learned all my A320 knowledge from you. Quick question. What altitude do I switch my QNH to standard above the UK? Same in the US, Europe. So when you're cleared to a flight level, QNH goes to standard. So as soon as you're cleared up to a flight level, that means above the transition altitude in the Europe. So that's often low, 6,000 feet. So around there, can be higher depending where the terrain is. In America, it's above 18,000 feet. Anything above that, and you're set to standard. The livery of the A310, Luca, is the Cyprus Airways livery. There's no dampening on the Thrustmaster Airbus side stick. It wobbles, yeah. The real one does have heavy damping. That is a limitation of it. Right, okay, 98 votes, 2 more votes, and then I'm going to pull that poll and I'm going to do another one. In the meantime, I'm going to set up my arrival. So we're arriving. Might have to go into a hold at this rate. I'm so far behind. We've done very well with time, actually. We're very close. This has been a shorter flight. We've a big shortcut. Arriving via Bonnick. So let's get rid of the chart there. Let's scroll along. Yeah, look at that. We're almost there. So we're now into Nicosia airspace. We're just entering into their FIR. So there's an Urjan section here, which it sounds like most people don't know about, actually. So I won't go into that too much. But that's an interesting dynamic of modern aviation. Bonnick arrival. That's to the overhead. Larnaca, you do often go via the overhead. So let's see if we can make this work. Let's see if there's any weather information. Nope. So what's the wind in Larnaca? That's the real question. Let me just check. If I knew how to type in aero weather into my phone. (290 at 6), so westerly breeze there. So that'll put us onto runway 22 then. Pretty standard. So ILS Yankee, I think, would be normal. No, not Yankee. Ignore me. X-ray would be normal. There we go. So we're going to do the VOR, outbound, round, and inbound. Now I wonder if it can do it itself. We're going to have this all backed up, ready to go anyway. And then after landing, airport and parking. Good. Right, let's get this set up. So let me just check our poll. 106 votes. It's over. So 17% no, 18% yes. Sorry, 83% yes. Okay. Thank you very much. That's a clear sign. So really appreciate that. And I might do another one. Don't be offended. I might do a community post and ask and see if we get another sample group just to check. But it's not sort of, because I imagine with a broader audience who aren't watching today, then it could be a little less appreciated. Jaden Brown, thanks so much for your £1.79 super chat. Really appreciate it. Jaden says, thank you for your tutorials. You're very welcome, Jaden. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for donating to the channel. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you're doing very, very well. Great to have you here. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jaden. Right. Let's see. Okay. In true style, I'm going to focus on the streaming and then we'll sort out the airplane in a sec. So, let's have another poll. This time, oh no, don't type into there. How do I still not know how to do polls? Here we go. Sorry to those of you on Twitch. It's just that every time I try and do a poll, it won't let me because I'm not a member there yet. What was I going to do? It was going to be... Now, the name's not going to matter if I hide it behind it or in the members area anyway, but if it's publicly available, it would matter a lot in terms of its visibility. So those are the things to consider. So let's just change the option. Apologies for the keyboard. I don't think I can call it Children of the Magenta because that's... I'm not even going to give that as an option because that's somebody else's content, I suppose, as it were. So let's go with 2. Now, I'm not going to promise it's going to be either of these, but I'm just curious. This is great, having just a live audience to poll here. Critic says, taxi lights at A310 is too dim. Tested in night flight. Same case with the rear one? Yes, taxi lights are often dim. It depends though. The new LEDs are much better, but yeah, there's no guarantee the taxi light will be particularly useful, I must say. So we're often relying on the ground lighting in airports. Right, so choose any point. Star. We agreed on 1 Romeo. ILS Yankee 22. Transition of... Well, we're going out by the LCA. What are we looking for here? Amaco versus Rexel. Can't see that there. That's the LCA. 8 miles. Back rounds. I don't know. I don't know that one. Let's have a look on here. Let's go to constraints, plan, and zoom right in. See if we can solve the puzzle. It's just a jigsaw puzzle. Aveno is our last point. Oh, no, it's not. We're already gone past that. Let's insert that. So this goes from Vadus, and then a discontinuity. I see. But we know we want to go from Vadus to... What is going on? Vadus to Bonic. That's what we want to do. So we'll clear out that. Daros, Adlaz, Larnaca. And then it just goes straight out. We want to go out to 8 miles, so it just goes straight from here to the centre fix by the looks of things. That's no good at all. So we will have to do it manually, I suspect, judging by this then. Yeah. Great. Okay, that's fine. So let's go to the tuning page. I need the Larnaca VOR 112.8, and we're going to go outbound 062 to 8 miles. So let's put that in. Now I'm sure you don't have to do this in the real Airbus A310. There must be a way, but I'm going to tune. That didn't work. Let's tune LCA. See if it accepts that. LCA 1128 is the second one. There we go. Just going to put it in both sides. Why not? LCA. So these needles are now pointed at the Larnaca VOR. That's great. And I can now flick this to VOR. And arc. And then there's the course. Now, where does the course go in? That's a new one to me. Course goes here. There we go. 1128. And outbound course 062. This is going to be quite straightforward. It's quite a simple procedure. It's just a standard one, really. 062. So we're going to fly that blue line outbound to a DME on here, the DME, and we're going to do that to 8 miles. Then background, max 210 knots, so there'll definitely be the slats out to 8 miles inbound. It's a short ILS. 8 miles is the intercept. We might intercept slightly inside that, and we're descending from 4.9, so I want to be fully configured by the time I get here. 1,500 feet, very low platform altitude on this approach, so that's a big sort of threat, as it were, here. Good. Now, last stream I forgot the very obvious thing, which I did in my video, wrote it in my video, but then forgot to do it in my stream, is we need to tune the ILS. 110.3, course of 220. It's slightly quicker this way. 1103, 220. Otherwise, it all unravels very quickly on us. Good. And now we can put that to ILS, and it will bring up the ILS. Good. So I'm going to leave it on VOR now. So I can actually go to 062, and I'm going to press V/L, and it should fly the VOR out because we have it set to VOR. If you have it set to ILS, I don't think it would work. You need it set to VOR. Then I'm going to turn it on the intercept heading, swap that to ILS, and do that. That's the plan. That is the plan. Let's synchronize the heading bug. Good. So carrying on as normal. Must be soon time to descend, I would have thought. Oh, it's already ditched my tuning. Oh, because I've got 1142 here. Well, we'll just leave it like that. There we go. Good. So, quite a lot of track miles. To arrive at Larnaca at 4,000 feet. So, I only need to be 4,000 feet at Larnaca, not sea level. Landing elevation, by the way, I think it's pretty much sea level. It is, so we'll leave landing elevation over there at 0,000. Auto brake, I'm going to put to medium. It's quite a long runway, Larnaca, actually. It's 2,000... Oh, it's 3 hours. Let's go to low. There will be plenty. Fuel-wise, well, we've still got our 8.1 tons. We should have done our systems check. Let's have a quick look through. AC electrics all looking good. DC. This is largely, I mean, we do this on the 320, but the reality is most of this stuff, or nearly all of it's monitored anyway, so you're unlikely to spot something here. But you might see it starting to go a certain way. Critically, let's look at fuel. That's all in the right place. It's already emptied the trim tank anyway. We're just on the outer tanks now. Total on board of 8 tons. Final reserves and alternate for us today we know is 5.5. So we want to land with 5.5. Looking good to do that, but pretty light. I'd say we've starting to look a slight overburn. We've already burnt 6 and a bit tons. Trip fuel is planned to be at 7.8. Interesting. Right, 80 miles, 37,000 feet. Let's see. So why is VDev saying it's happy? I'd have thought we're getting very high now. Does it not give us a message or anything? Seems very strange to me. Chickpoint says we can just hold for half an hour to chat. You can have the best of both worlds. Watch on Twitch and have YouTube chat on the side as you can pop it out. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Chickpoint. How's our poll doing? So 55 votes. We've gone 60-40. Not for real world use. Flight level 320. So swapping between them. Interesting. 60-40. Thank you for the likes on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Reese, it's probably just me being American. Procedure turn? No, vectors please. Easier for me and the controller. Sorry, the pilot and the controller. So, yeah, no, this Larnaca do it like this. They will just send you out outbound and inbound. Yeah, quite rare actually, very rare. It's quite relaxing, quite enjoyable in some senses. So if we go to flight plan, at the LCA, it's planning to be 4,000 above 4,000 feet. So interesting. Okay. Well, let's think. We need to get down with 37, so we need to lose 33,000 feet. So that means we need 99 miles plus a bit. So 96 miles. I'd say it's time to go down. I'm going to start off with, well, it's no controller here, so 4,000 it is. Oh, what did I just oh, hopefully that's that. And I'm just going to go level change. Time to just go down. Now, decimal 81, a little bit quick. Let's do 80. Oh, yes, takeoff approach. So, landing, we've gone low auto brake. We'll do a 30-40 landing again. Takeoff approach phase. Page, sorry, 30-40. No wind correction. VAP of 138, which I will write down. Min clean. There you go. Look, minimum clean 248. So, we are heavy. And landing at 88.1 is wrong because we're still 115. We burnt 5 tons. So yeah, don't know where that comes from. Now weather I believe is very nice there, but we are going to put in the minima for a Cat C airplane of 210. I think the 310 is Cat C. I'm going to leave DH and I'll put 210 there. Good. Down we go. There's a level off banana. I am still using 7. Yes, I've not updated my Navigraph charts yet. Right, we're going down to an altitude, so let's set the QNH of 17 degrees and going QNH 1014. So click that in and scroll. 3, 4, QNH 1014. There we go. So it does have a bit of a VDEV scale, so we could just do profile. Profile des. Please don't spool up airplane. You don't need to do that. I'm going to put the terrain on. Weather looks absolutely lovely. And here's Cyprus. We've made it. Pathos would be somewhere underneath us, I imagine. Oh, it's over there. It's off to the right. Very nice. Good, so that gives the constraints. The min clean might go down as we get lower. Interesting, yes, maybe the min clean will. Let's have a look. 239, yeah, okay. But I don't know where the landing weight is coming from. Very strange. Right, so Martin says, could you explain what the wind correction is for? So I think that's referring to just applying. So if I wanted 5 knots of wind correction, it just increases the V approach target speed. Yeah. So I don't think we need any of that because it would just end up floating. On the 320, it's rare to add that unless you have a specific crosswind issue. Right. So MSA It's quite high. 4,000 feet for now is safe. When we get there, it's unlikely we'd be cleared down to that at this stage, frankly, because at Bonek there's terrain up to 7,000 feet pretty much, so it's above 110. So let's do this properly, actually. Change of plan. We'll put 110 in for Bonek. I don't want to mess around too much. So standard 110, because we need to be above that there, and then we'll just follow these altitudes down 9,000 and so on in towards the hold. We won't hold. We'll just go straight outbound. And we'll try. I'm going to try out the lock mode by just pressing V/L just to get the localizer. We'll head outbound on the ILS X-ray. Oh, hold on, that's the X-ray. Well, that explains a lot. And that's the Yankee, so that's no good. So the 1 Romeo is correct, but I don't want the X-ray. I want the Yankee. 1 Romeo. Inserts. Right. Now, does that help our situation? Would it now do it? I mean, I'm tempted to do it manually anyway, but we could... No, LCA, and then it just goes CI. So it doesn't have the coding for the procedural term. It just goes out and in. Yeah, fine. So we'll carry on with the plan we've got. Still valid. Using autopilot 1, which is crucial because I'm in VOR mode on this side. Otherwise, if we're using AP2, we'd need to swap it over on that side and tune it all correctly. But there we go. 1128.062 outbound, 8 miles, round we go. Putting out flaps as we head out here. We can descend from 4 to 1500 once we start outbounds, which won't be too difficult to do. Goods. After landing... sorry, down the ILS, we said before 5 miles, gear down and get the flaps. Just as we start down, I'll put the last stage of flap out. Relatively high minimum, but the weather is fine for that. Then we're going to land and roll off at this high speed here. Foxtrot 1, or Echo, no, sorry, Echo 1, Echo. And then go and park over on the terminal, up here. Good stuff. Not entirely convinced about its profile descent. There we go. Thrust profile, nav, yeah, it's all there. Just align the heading bug. There we go. Gabriel says, profile will observe constraints, level change leads you to the altitude set in the SU. Indeed, there we go. So, profile is going to work in our favour here. I'm just surprised it's a little bit agricultural, just spooling up and down, and trying to chase that speed. It's quite high speed for the descent, but there we go. 20,000 feet leveling at 110 just after Bonek, all looking good. It's a very basic predecessor to VNAV. A lot of airlines didn't trust it, says Lauren B. There we go, yes, and I can see that. James says, you put Y back in the FT instead of X. Did I? Did I not insert it? Thank you. This is so this is where flying an airplane that's similar to yours but not quite the same is actually more difficult. X-ray. Bonek 1 Romeo. Inserts. Has that worked? Okay. Thank you. Right, let's check one last time. Not doing it again. Did this do it all? No, just goes out to the CI22. So no, it still doesn't have that procedure correctly in. Okay. Bit of turbulence now off these hills. Iceland Animations, we had trouble with the FNC earlier, but we just did a sim restart and it worked. Worked alright for us indeed. Right, that poll on the name on YouTube, let's see. Got 89 votes, I'm going to end it now. 90 votes, 63% says flight level 320, 37 not for real world use. So yeah, starting to weigh towards, I'll let that get to 100 votes if we have enough people to vote, but yeah. No guarantee I'm going to use either of these names, by the way. I'll have to have a think. I'd also see what other names are out there already in use. I imagine there's quite a lot of airline pilot podcasts. Luca, I don't talk about all the planes I've flown, but ones I have flown include the airliners, includes the Q400 and the A320. James says, now you've done X-ray, you can insert the transition. Right. Okay, James, thank you so much. Yeah, Larnaca 1 or 2. Now, we worked this out, 1 or 2 for different categories. This came up last time. So, there's not actually much difference. Let's try 1. There it is. We'll do it raw data, I think, as I've briefed it and promised to show it. But thank you. Yeah, there you go. So if you wanted to do this the modern way, it is all here. So that's LTA 8 miles, 1,500 feet, 210 knots. There it is. Yeah, great. So that would do it. That does at least update our VNAV profile to have an idea of what we're going to actually fly. Right, we're over Bonnet, so now we can go down to 9,000 feet. Let's do 9,000 feet. Set the QNH 1314. One more vote. Matthew says raw data is more fun. Yeah, I like raw data. And I want to use this lock mode. We haven't used it yet. Always a good sign it won't work. But yeah, thanks RMV and Matthew for that transition. Yeah. And James. Everyone's been telling me how to do it and I've been not managing. Right, speed's coming back to 250 as we get down to 10,000 feet. Pretty standard stuff. We're definitely thirsty on the fuel. I definitely want that fuel for the arrival. Might be talking about ditching the alternate here. Next waypoint, Adlas, we can get down to 6,000 feet. Let's run the approach checklist. Actually, let's give the seatbelt signs. Let the cabin know. Right, signs are set. Briefing is confirmed. Ecam status checked. Altimeters are on 1014. Set all sides. Minimums we've got set at 210, just above sea level. Ignition, I'm going to leave it as it. I don't know what they would do. Let's go continuous relight. And landing elevation is set at sea level. Check I haven't adjusted it too much. There it is. Yep, sea level. That is the approach checklist complete. Next is the landing checklist. 101 votes, 64% for flight level 320. That's ending. Thank you very much for your votes. High number is the high cat, says Matthew. Okay, maybe I got the wrong cat in there. ODG John says, we're about to witness a dangerous and ancient technique that is hand flying. There we go. Right, landing lights on. Seatbelts are on. We're through 10,000 feet now. Totally safe and visual. Next, Atessa, 5,000 feet in the window. And then we'll arrive at Larnaca pretty much at 4,000. I think it's going to work out nicely. That's the point where we can decelerate. Co-pilot needs to start looking out the window. Love it. Replay software is recording, so that's all set up. There's the airport. We're going to go right over the top, round and in. It's great fun. Great, great, great fun. No one flying with us today, or no one nearby anyway. No one on TCAS. $64.35, yeah. Usually needs to work on its math indeed, Gabriel. Luca is not a fan of the livery. I would disagree. I think this is a beautiful livery. But I am partial to 90s, late 90s liveries. Oh, there's some traffic. Yeah, That's the typical view coming into Larnaca. The quiz messages: continuous relight, seatbelts on, landing lights extended, centre tank feeding, all fine. A little surprised. How much fuel is in the centre tank? 1.18. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So I'm glad it's feeding. We want to use it up. Birdman says, I love both Phoenix and the A310. Which would you rate best? I would say exactly as you. I like them both. The VS indicator is here. This is the vertical speed indicator. This was common on this generation, and of course the 7576 used this originally, and I think even latterly as well, actually. There's the airfields. 300 feet to go. Leveling at 5,000. Should see outstar. I'm wondering, in profile, it should also decelerate as it heads outbounds. We're in VOR mode. So we're all set to do that. I love the habit of these engines as well. Matthew Presley says, if you want to talk an ugly livery, you need to see the 737's AA with the logo on the winglet. Matthew's not a fan. Yeah, my streaming software chat is very delayed, so I can only apologise. Just checking in on Twitch. Okay, gets cool. Okay. Right, about to turn outbounds. I really wanted to slow down. I'm going to force it so that if I press final lap, I'm expecting it to decelerate to green dot. There we go. Turning outbounds. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this to arc. I'm going to set the heading bug at sort of an intercept heading. I'm going to press VL. And then it's gone VOR star. So it's already found it. And it's going to go outbounds. And there we go. We can get onto 4,000 feet now, which I'm going to do in vertical speed. 500 feet down so it can continue to decelerate. But we've lost the... Yeah, this whole managed speed thing is already gone. So let's bring it back. We need to do 210s for the turn once we're out there. Let's slow down now. We put the first stage of flap out, or the slats I should say. So slats are now travelling. Descending to 4,000 feet gradually, and we're going to go to 8 miles. We're already at 3, and then let's get down a bit quicker. So we are here. Oh, people aren't a fan of the AA on the wings. So I have to have a look at that one. I haven't seen that one. RNS is all tuned down here, ready to go. Yeah, I'm not entirely convinced about this approach phase. I don't... Or final approach, yeah. Maybe not. Maybe I must be using it wrong, I'm sure. But there we go. 500 feet to go. 5 miles, so in 3 miles we'll turn. Let's slow down a bit more. Let's come back to the S speed. Seems a little bit more reliable than it did on takeoff at this point. Indeed, not the most efficient way to fly because, of course, radar vectors straight onto the RS would have been ideal, really. But they don't work like that. I think it's to do with different airfields nearby. I'm not entirely sure, though. That's often the case in other airports, anyway. Right, 8 miles, so we're at 7. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to just align the heading, and let's put it into heading select. Normal bank angle limit. I want to get to the full 8 miles. Great, turn it around onto the intercept. Remember, heading /S means it will follow the heading bug. Heading means it will, it's just sitting there armed and you have to select it. It's a bit of a strange system. It's quite unusual. Landing on 2-2, so that's going to be 250 would be an intercept heading. Wind is coming from behind us, so it's actually pushing us towards it. 250 would be a 30-degree intercept. Now I need to go to ILS on here because that is tuned. What I've totally failed to do is get down to the correct platform altitude, which would be... we're at 9 miles, 4,000 feet. We are very high. Pulling that did work. It went into speed. It forced it into level change by pulling the altitude. How interesting. So pushing it changed it. But yeah, this is totally not going to work because, of course, we needed to descend to 1,500 feet while we're heading outbound. I was getting too distracted with that. Although we are still heading outbound. So let's see what we can do here. Let's push that in and do 1,500. Let's put the speed brakes out. And let's go to the next stage of flap because that's we get that VLS that's out there. So we're above the glide slope. So we're doing a glide slope from above now, but that's totally manageable. 3,000 feet at 8.5. We're only a little bit high. Let's get the gear down. Get some more drag outs. 190 knots at 8 miles. We do need to start slowing down, unfortunately, but we can arm land. So we're on heading S and lock. The course has disappeared. 220. Why is it not? There we go. That's better. That's the right course. Strange it's not working on that screen, but there we go. Now display. And we're on the glide slopes. That's worked. Let's get the speed back now. Coming back to 138. Next stage of flap. We can go to 6 miles, 170. Yeah, next stage of flap. There's the runway. Why is our arc? Why has he got this? ILS 1103 course 220, but it's definitely not 220. It's showing across. That's quite confusing. Anyway, map. And final stage of flap. Arm the ground spoilers. Gear down. 3 greens. Go around thrusters armed in the limit mode. Centering the heading bug. Putting in the go around altitude of 2,000 feet. Use very low altitudes here. That's in. Speed, glide slope lock. Cat 2. FD1. We could engage the other one if we want. Cat 3 dual. FD1 dual. Good. Okay, and 1,200 feet. 1,200 feet matches, so QNH is correct, and the glide slope looks sensible for 3 degrees. That's a course you've set on the ILS radar. Yeah, but I set course 220, 1103. I don't understand why. This is going to become obvious to me later. It's that sort of thing. Right. Landing checklist to be done. So landing checklist, landing gear down 3 greens. Auto brake is on low. And we've got anti-skid normal. Flaps are 30 and 40. Spoilers are armed. Landing check's complete. Right. Autopilot off. Now what I must remember, press that twice to cancel the warning. The auto thrust will manually idle, but I need to do that myself as well. We have definitely armed the ground spoilers, yep. So I will close my hardware on landing. It's a little bit out of trim. There we go. Right. So gently following the flight directors, and now we've got a nice visual picture so we can just look outside as well. Keeping that vertical speed in the scan. Got a bit high there on the vertical speed. Flaring about 30 as it is with the 320, and the power will come off on its own. A little bit of over controlling going on here. It's such a strange visual picture with this sort of massive forward panel. So we've shadowed out a bit, low VS, so that's going to float us along a bit. 30, flare. There's touchdown, idle, and get the reversers out. Oh, there's that wobble. Yeah, it is a bit insensitive, a bit too sensitive on the rudder. I would agree there. And we've got rollout, we've got spoilers up, we've got reversers green, and we are decelerating. Yeah, it's hard to get the rudder right at this point, definitely. Manual brakes, forward idle. And let's vacate. Right, there we go. Welcome to Larnaca. Not again, Jeff says, nice flight, Captain. About to start my own. Enjoy your flights, Jeff. Yeah, I think that was fine. I think it feels a little bit firm. I just say it feels a little bit firm. We're so used to 320 landings. It's what I really like about the flight dynamics of this airplane is that you enter the flare and the auto throttle system retards the thrust levers. which, by the way, does not happen on the 320. If you're doing a manual landing, the auto thrust is in, and then you idle it, and you just idle the engines. You choose when that happens. Whereas in the A310, it does it at its own point if you're using the auto thrust system, effectively like a auto land. So what I like about the handling of this in the flare is, because remember, it is a conventional aeroplane in the pitch sense. There's a little bit of auto trimming features, but what you do is as the system retards the thrust, you feel the nose start to drop, and you actually have to hold it off like you would in a 737 or something. And it's a great detail. I'm leaving the flaps and everything out because, of course, we're going to use it for the replay. But there we go. I hope you've enjoyed the flight. It's been how long have we been streaming? 2 hours 50 minutes. Pretty standard length for us. There's Jet 2 over there, taking people on holiday as you'd expect. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it a lot, and thank you for the votes and the likes. All makes a big difference to the channel. So really appreciate it. Right, squeezing on the brakes. We'll skip this track. I have to make a bit of a cut here over to our stands. Oh, don't look there. So we'll head over there. A bit more hands on than A320s, as Alexander would. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Glad you enjoyed it. Luca, Rakon, thanks very much. Brian as well. Jimbo, you're very welcome. So replay coming soon. Sadly, no decent wing views. I need to get one of those CFG files, or I need to work on my own. But airplane behaved. We've arrived with, how much fuel have we got? Yeah, we kept all our fuel. So the sim brief plan did work just about, which is good news. Thanks, Birdman. Glad you enjoyed it. Oh, look at that, on the centre line for once. Not bad. Oh, bit far. There we go. Great. So, time to disconnect from VATSIM. Got the flaps out. I'm just going to arm the ground spoilers for the replay. Stop recording. Set it to final replay. So let's have a look. Oh, beautiful machine. Yes. Right, there we go. You're welcome, Christopher Shaw. Ignore the spoilers, that's just the replay software because I let it touch down. Totally fine. Could have probably flared it a bit more. Could have teased a bit more out of that flare. And there's this wobbling. Gotta get used to that. But yeah, that's not bad. Ah, my chat's very delayed. I can only apologise. Coming to Larnaca, it's cool. Will Smith says you can turn nose wheel off in EFB for takeoff and landing and turn back on for taxi. That is an idea. I might try that, Will Smith. Yeah, that's a good idea. Kelpie says, thanks for the stream. Pleasant surprise to me. Excellent, Kelpie. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the kind donation as well. That Serious Pilot says, thanks, Captain Dinner Time. Excellent, enjoy. But yeah. No, I think that went fine. I think we're going to use this airplane. We're getting used to the systems. We remember to tune the ILS. What went wrong on that one? I just didn't follow the procedure. I didn't descend in time. But we did a glider from above. No problem. Got the drag out, gear down. It's quite a versatile airplane in those final stages. You've got the speed brake use all the way to flat full, it appears, so quite handy. Yeah, I think that's nice. I think that's a nice landing. I'm happy with that. Yeah. No, nice. Great to see this livery back in Larnaca. A great bit of fun. So let's set up for if I do that, and then pause, we'll rewind ourselves somewhere like here, rearm, and then unfortunately, as I don't have a nice lovely wing view, we'll pick a camera here. I mean, some of these are just utterly strange camera angles. Maybe they're just sort of default ones that haven't been modified. Love that streak of grease there, that's great. I think we'll go for this one as we did last time. Right, yeah, more live streams coming. So we will be looking at the missions on Twitch. So flights are done on YouTube and Twitch, but the more casual ones will be just on Twitch. So do please follow on Twitch if you'd like to see those. If you are on YouTube, do please leave a like. It makes a big difference to the channel. I really, really appreciate it. And then there'll be more videos and live streams coming on the main channel, of course. Thank you all so much for coming along. Thank you for chatting along. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for just watching if you have as well. Like I say, do stay tuned to the channel. More to come, and looking at seeing what we can do. Some extra things now. See if we can branch out a little bit from just the videos and streams. So yeah, hopefully you can enjoy those if and when it comes. It might be a little bit of time. Also, thank you to the moderators for looking after us as always. Really appreciate it, and thanks for all the insights from other pilots and people who've just been contributing to so much knowledge that I gained from running these streams. It's always fascinating to me. Thank you to those who've just watched, commented, and yeah, we'll see you all next time. And thanks, of course, to those very kind donations. Really appreciate it. And Adam Farkas, thank you so much for the £10 tip. Thank you, really appreciate it. And says, good evening, Cap. Just made it at the end. Loving your content. Taught me a lot about the Airbus. Flying the Phoenix right now, but I'm eager to give this A310 a go. Best wishes to you. Adam, that's really very, very kind of you. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. And I'm glad you've been enjoying the videos. And yeah, A310, it's a great step. And I've got those sort of beginner videos up for it already. So yeah, thank you. Really appreciate the donation. Very kind of you. And thanks for joining us today. Right, we'll have the replay and a bit of music. And then we'll see you again in another live stream video soon. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.